Vegapunk creates technology in the ninja world. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26, Movement and the Mist Ninja's Response. The replacement of the daimyo of the sea country went very smoothly. Orochimaru happened to have a subordinate who was lurking beside the daimyo of the sea country as his guard. Relying on the collected body tissues, Vegapunk spent a few days to create a new clone. This crudely made clone may not have a lifespan of less than 10 years, and its physical fitness can only be maintained at the level of ordinary people, but it is completely sufficient for replacement. In fact, all the daimyo replacements are this kind of crude stuff. From the beginning, Vegapunk did not want to give these clones too long a life. Although in theory the clones were all stamped with thoughts by Vegapunk, the human brain and thoughts are the most mysterious things. If they really stay in the position of the daimyo for too long, God knows whether some bad things such as clone awakening will happen. It is better to simply give these clones less than 10 years of life. Anyway, for Vegapunk, he just needs these clones to make a peaceful transition. More than a month later, after some integration of the forces under Vegapunk, the number of ninjas finally broke through the 2000 mark. In particular, with the help of Orochimaru's laboratory, Vegapunk produced a lot of genetic modification fluids, and some ninjas who made contributions also gained the ability to transform into animals, and their high-end strength was strengthened again. The most important thing is that the sea country is not much smaller than the entire water country archipelago in terms of area. If it were not for the fact that it is much farther away from the mainland than the water country, and if it had no ninja village, the sea country might have become the so-called 6th largest country. In other words, the base of the sea country is not small, at least in terms of population and economy. It has enough potential to become a major country. So when the sea country said that it would form an alliance with the snow country and several other small countries on the coast, the entire ninja world was quite surprised. However, the ones who really care about this issue are actually the countries in the ninja world, and the ninja villages don't care much about it. To some extent, ninjas themselves have no so-called national boundaries, just like the daimyo of the Kingdom of Wind, who often entrusts tasks to the Konoha ninja village. Konoha did not fail to complete the task just because it was the task of the daimyo of the hostile country. Not to mention that the Kingdom of the Sea is still in the distant sea. Except for the Mist Ninja Village, other ninja villages basically cannot get any tasks from here. If it were not for the defense of the Mist Ninja Village, the Konoha Ninja Village would not have set up a secret base in such a place. Of course, not all ninja villages have no feelings about this. For example, the Mist Ninja Village in the Kingdom of Water is extremely sensitive to the changes in the Kingdom of the Sea. As mentioned earlier, countries and ninja villages are not completely bound together. Many times, some large ninja villages even take on many tasks in other countries besides their own country, especially the Mist Ninja Village. The traditional sphere of influence of the Mist Ninja Village is not just the Kingdom of Water. The land area of the Kingdom of Water is much smaller than that of several other countries. The reason why it can support such a large ninja village as the Mist Ninja Village is that the task indicators of most countries on the sea are basically here in the Mist Ninja Village. Originally, the sea country was also the place where they carried out their missions. As a country with a size close to the water country and a population and natural environment that are not inferior, it can be said that the sea country was originally one of the economic pillars of the Mist Ninja. The establishment of the alliance by the sea country did not affect the Mist Ninja too much. That was a problem that the daimyo of the water country should consider, but the establishment of its own ninja village by the sea country made all the Mist Ninja jump up and down. So many countries were originally the basic base for the Mist Ninja to carry out missions, accounting for almost 1/3 of the Mist Ninja's pure mission income, and almost 1/5 of the total income of the Mist Ninja. It can be said that the effect of this cut was not worse than the Blood Mist policy in weakening the Mist Ninja, and the effect came much faster than the Blood Mist policy. There is no doubt that, even if the current Mist Ninja village is in chaos, because of the Blood Mist policy and the rejection of blood limit ninjas, these people are ready to go to war with the sea country without hesitation. In this case, even the mastermind behind the scenes, Uchiha Obito, can't suppress the ninjas of the Mist Ninja Village. After all, controlling the Mizukage and controlling the Mist Ninja Village are actually two different things. Of course, Obito didn't think of suppressing them. The Mist Village wanted to start a war, and Obito was somewhat happy to see it happen. He even wanted to strengthen the combat power of the Sea Country. On the one hand, it was out of hatred for the Mist Village, and on the other hand, the weakened Mist Village would also be beneficial to his future plans. This is the Sea Country. They actually established a Sea Ninja Village that I don't know what it is. The one who spoke was a fierce man who was more than 2 meters tall and looked like a mountain of meat. Behind him was a weapon that was more like a mace than a knife. Next to him, there was a man without eyebrows. The man had a cold look, and his mouth was tightly wrapped with a bandage. Standing behind the two of them was a weird man with a shark face. The three of them stood together, and none of them gave people the feeling that they were easy to mess with. The three ninjas had just walked down from the boat, and their fierce aura made the group of people on the shore consciously avoid them. Don't waste time here. Let's go. I really want to see the despair of those scum ninjas when they see us, the Mist Ninjas. The man without eyebrows looked around and said lightly, "Hey, Zabuza, you are a kid who just got the qualification of the beheading sword, and you are also putting on airs in front of me. If you want to command me, go get the beheading sword from Bibajuzo first." The big man who was like a meat mountain turned sideways, and his huge body was enough to make 99% of people feel full of pressure. However, the man named Zabuza was obviously not among those 99%. How could it be? Senior Zigguishin Puffer Ghost has always been the target I pursued. Zabuza seemed to speak sincerely, but he deliberately emphasized the word target, so that it was hard to imagine what the target was. Humph. That's better. With a cold snort, Zigguishin Puffer Ghost did not continue to pursue it. After all Mist Ninjas are like this. In fact, the trust between the Mist Ninjas was not high to begin with, especially the stronger and more senior ninjas, who were even more suspicious of each other. As long as they didn't fight each other during their actions, they were considered to be in good cooperation. Because the ninjas who were able to climb to the top of the Mist Ninja Village almost all had blood on their hands, not only from their enemies, but also from their companions, so naturally, they couldn't trust each other. Chapter 27 Ambush and Escape. In order to deal with the newly born Sea Village, the Mist Village sent a lot of people this time. In addition to the three Jonins, Zigguishin Puffer, Momochi Zabuza, and Hoshigaki Kisame, who is a subordinate of Zigguishin Puffer, there are also 2-digit Chunins. As for the Genin cannon fodder, generally speaking, unless a full-scale war is really going to start, they will not be sent out during the preliminary reconnaissance activities. Just like in Konoha's peacetime, the Genin can only perform sea-level tasks at most, that is, at most they will fight with ordinary robbers and the like, but will not participate in battles between ninjas. The regulations in this regard are similar in the entire ninja world. Of course, this rule may have some meaning of protecting seedlings in Konoha, but in the Mist Village, it is purely because the Genin can't play any role in this kind of mission, and will only get in the way. There is also a success rate requirement for the ninja village to perform tasks. The higher the success rate, the more famous the ninja village will naturally receive more tasks. So in a way, for the success rate of the mission, the ninja village will not casually involve weak ninjas in dangerous tasks. After Zigguishin Puffer Ghost and Momochi Zabuza exchanged a few words at the dock, the two parties parted ways directly. Although in theory the leader of this mission was Zigguishin Puffer Ghost, Zabuza, who was also a senior ninja, was obviously not willing to obey him, and left with his men. Zigguishin Puffer Ghost had other ideas in his mind, so he did not hinder Zabuza's actions. Not only that, he quickly sent all his men out, and asked Hoshigaki Kisame to command instead, but he used the transformation technique to sneak away. The address of the Sea Ninja Village was originally Orochimaru's secret base. The transportation conditions here were not very good, but there were ninjas with extraordinary powers, so this kind of thing was actually not a problem. Zigguishin Puffer Ghost sneaked to the coast near the Sea Ninja Village, and found a hidden cave. Seeing a mark on a stone next to the cave, that looked like a scratch, he immediately explored the left and right and then walked in. I told you, under normal circumstances, don't contact me too often. It's you. Orochimaru. Seeing the Konoha ninja who was meeting with him, Zigguration Puffer Ghost showed a look of shock on his face. He stretched out his hand and pulled out the mace-like sword behind him and placed it in front of him, looking at the other party with a face full of vigilance. There is no way. A person's reputation is like a tree's shadow. Although Zigguration Puffer Ghost can be regarded as a top figure in the entire ninja world, except for the Kajin Jinkriki of the major ninja villages, it can be said that there are not many ninjas who can be his opponents. But the person in front of him is a person whose strength is comparable to that of the Kage of a village. If Orochimaru really wants to kill him, the success rate is at least 50% to 60%. This is still referring to the situation of encounter battles. If it is an ambush battle, the possibility of him escaping is not even 1 in 10. Hehe, Zigguration Puffer Ghost, you are the legendary leader of the 7 ninja swordsmen, but now you look like a scabby dog with a broken spine. Standing in the cave, Orochimaru licked the corner of his mouth with a smile on his face and spoke very calmly. Stop talking nonsense, Orochimaru. You are already a traitor to Konoha. Why did you contact me this time? Zigguration Puffer Ghost said sternly. In fact, this Kirigakure ninja has always had a certain connection with Konoha and can be regarded as Konoha's collaborator in Kirigakure. Although it is almost impossible for a ninja of his level to be bribed by Konoha, it is normal for him to cooperate with other ninja villages for his own interests. Especially since Kirigakure itself has no centripetal force, and the implementation of various policies is almost perverse. Zigguration Puffer Ghost is a guy with a keen sense of smell. He also vaguely felt that something was wrong with Kirigakure, so he found a way out for himself early. If it was a year or 2 ago, it would be very normal to meet Orochimaru. After all, Orochimaru himself is also a master at underground intelligence. It can be said that in the entire Konoha ninja village, except for a certain Nabokage, Orochimaru is the best at this kind of thing. But now, Orochimaru has defected from Konoha. Who knows what this guy wants to do when he appears in front of him? How cold. I remember that, when I first communicated with the Fugu Demon King, you were not so defensive. However, since the Fugu Demon King does not want to talk about feelings, then I will be frank. I'm very interested in the big sword Samehuda in the Fugu Demon King's hand. I wonder if the Fugu Demon King is willing to give it up. As soon as Orochimaru finished speaking, the Watermelon Mountain Fugu Demon's eyes suddenly changed. The big sword Samehuda in his hand, which was originally wrapped by layers of sealing cloth, exploded instantly and turned into the shape of a mace and cut directly at Orochimaru's head. With a plop, blood splattered on Orochimaru's head, red and white flowing everywhere, but after a moment, the blood and brain matter turned into grey-brown mud. The whole body collapsed to the ground and turned into a pool of mud. Obviously, this was just a soil clone. However, Zigguration Puffer Ghost did not expect that this move could really hurt Orochimaru. If Orochimaru, the famous Sannin, could be killed so easily by him, he should change his surname to Otsutsuki. As he smashed down with his sword, he flew back. Ninjas are different from warriors. Because of their powerful destructive power and survival ability, that is no different from that of ordinary people. This is a profession that relies heavily on intelligence. In theory, as long as the ambush is cleverly arranged, even the shadow of a village can be killed by dozens of ordinary ninjas. So facing a ninja of Orochimaru's level, and stepping into this cave without knowing the situation, Zigguration Puffer Ghost's first thought was to escape quickly. But just when he was about to touch the entrance of the cave, he saw a purple light suddenly flashing at the entrance of the cave. It was Orochimaru who had set a seal at the entrance of the cave at the beginning. Ugh. As soon as he hit the purple light wall, Zigguration Puffer Ghost screamed miserably. His whole body seemed to be scalded by the purple flames. Then, in a puff of smoke, he turned into a pool of boiling water. Orochimaru slowly rose from the ground, licked the corner of his mouth with a strange smile on his face. Water clone. It should be the improved special clone ninjutsu. I can't even tell them apart. Zigguration Puffer Ghost is really good, but the clone can't be too far away from the original body. Haha, it seems that it's time for those modified ninjas to conduct a real combat exercise. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. we cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28, Raid on the River. Unlike the shadow clone, the water clone does not have the function of synchronously transmitting memory. Therefore, in general, it can only be used for testing and confusing in battle, and does not have the ability to detect intelligence like the shadow clone. This means that the main body and the water clone cannot be too far apart. Otherwise, even if the clone knows something, it cannot directly dissolve and return the memory to the main body. If the clone automatically disintegrates on the way to find the main body, the ninjutsu performer will be in trouble. Because of these defects of the water clone, the watermelon mountain puffer ghost was not far from the cave entrance. After seeing the purple light shining from the cave entrance, he left without looking back. But Orochimaru had actually been prepared for a long time. Less than 10 minutes after the watermelon mountain puffer ghost left, he was bitten by the tail by Orochimaru's ninja. After the animal transformation, in addition to the physical enhancement, the various abilities of the animal system also have a great bonus to the ninja, such as the unique sense of smell, vision, hearing, echolocation, thermal image vision, ground vibration sensing ability of some animals. Ninjas with these abilities can almost be regarded as half perception ninjas. Since the watermelon mountain puffer ghost has come, there is naturally no possibility of escape. This feeling, is there something wrong with the bird in the sky? The watermelon mountain puffer ghost, who was fleeing along the river, raised his head with a serious look. In the sky thousands of meters high, a bird that has been flashing with golden light is flying above his head. It is a golden eagle that looks extremely handsome. The golden eagle in the sky has been following him for a long time. In a world with all kinds of strange ninjutsu and summoned beasts, the watermelon mountain puffer ghost will naturally not ignore the actions of this golden eagle. However, among ninjas, the ability to fly is a very rare thing. The watermelon mountain puffer ghost certainly does not have it. As for using ninjutsu to shoot down the golden eagle, it is even more whimsical. You should know that the attack range of general ninjutsu is only 20 to 30 meters. If the attack range can exceed 100 meters, it is already the strength of a top ninja. If Zigguishin Puffer Ghost can shoot thousands of meters into the air and hit a small golden eagle, if he has that strength, Zigguishin Puffer Ghost will not run away when he sees Orochimaru. But it's a bit naive to think that you can catch me like this. Zigguishin Puffer Ghost sneered. This kind of surveillance in the sky is indeed very troublesome, especially the golden eagle, which seems to have intelligence no less than that of a human. Zigguishin Puffer Ghost used the clone technique several times, but failed to get rid of it. But this is a country of the sea, and Zigguishin Puffer Ghost is a mist shadow ninja. As long as he runs to the water or the sea, Zigguishin Puffer Ghost has absolute confidence that he can escape. Orochimaru appeared here. Could it be that the Sea Country Alliance and the Sea Ninja Village were all his work? This matter must be reported to the village as soon as possible. Perhaps we can also give Konoha a piece of information about Orochimaru. Wait, with Orochimaru's ability alone, can he really do such a thing? This is a major event that affects several countries and at least thousands of ninjas. Could it be that Orochimaru's defection is fake? Konoha, is this going to open a branch base? The watermelon mountain puffer ghost was thinking wildly in his head, but his speed was not slow at all. He soon came to a river. However, at this time, the watermelon mountain puffer ghost paused slightly, and his face became very ugly. The river, which was more than 10 meters wide, was flowing quietly. The slight sound of the wind and the sound of the water made the already quiet forest even more quiet. However, the watermelon mountain puffer ghost did not have any idea of appreciating it. Putting his hands together, within a few seconds, Zigguishin Puffer Ghost completed his seal, water escape, water dragon bullet technique. The calm river suddenly became turbulent. In the water flow caused by the chakra, a terrible shadow slowly emerged. A huge great white shark smashed the water dragon bullet and jumped out of the river. As soon as the great white shark jumped out of the water, it quickly grew limbs. Its strong body and huge shark head made it look quite scary, and it looked a bit like the Shark Man in the Suicide Squad. Go to hell. With a roar, Ziggush Puffer Ghost no longer maintained the attack of the water dragon bullet, but drew out the big sword Samehada on his back and chopped it without hesitation. Although it was quite surprising that a great white shark jumped out of the river, the knowledgeable Ziggush Puffer Ghost didn't think there was anything wrong. After all, there were too many messy and various ninjutsu, and turning into a great white shark was nothing. Anyway, the real marine creature great white shark certainly can't run into the river, so that's naturally the ninja's method. Facing the ninja, his only idea now is to kill the opponent directly. Judging from the state of the opponent being able to turn into a great white shark, it is obvious that he has a strong adaptability to water escape. In this case, it may be easier to use weapons. The great white shark turned into a shark man and did not retreat a step. The whole person rushed forward. Facing the big knife Samehada that was smashed on the head, he actually opened his mouth and bit it. With a click, the teeth and spikes flew. The bite force of the great white shark is extremely amazing. The ninja who has obtained the gene modification of the great white shark has also inherited this. At the same time, the teeth of the shark are also the sharpest among all animals. Therefore, in the sound of the click, the whole Samehada suddenly contracted and then began to struggle left and right and threw the great white shark ninja away with a swing. The watermelon mountain puffer ghost looked at the Samehada in his hand with some heartache. He saw a few white teeth inserted in the knife and a light grey liquid flowed out. However, the ninja on the opposite side did not suffer well either. His teeth were knocked out by Samehada and his mouth was pierced by Samehada's spikes. His mouth, which was originally a bloody mouth, was even more terrifying when it was soaked in a lot of blood. Damn stinky salted fish, you actually hurt my Samehada. Use your chakra to help Samehada recover. Ziggush Puffer Ghost injected the chakra in his hand into Samehada, and the whole knife exploded like a pufferfish, looking more dangerous. Samehada's power will gradually increase as it absorbs chakra, but most of the time, Ziggush Puffer Ghost uses Samehada to absorb the enemy's chakra. He didn't expect that the great white shark on the opposite side didn't use chakra, but bit it directly. When facing pure physical attacks, Samehada's effect is not much stronger than ordinary weapons. In this situation, the Ziggush Puffer demon didn't care about saving the chakra in his body and directly strengthened his Samehada to the limit. Chapter 29, The Battle of the Trapped Beast. With a whizzing sound, the round body of the watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost rolled around and avoided the attack of the golden eagle behind him. At this moment, the peaceful battle had lasted for 10 minutes. In addition to the great white shark ninja, several animal ninjas had found this place. The watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost, the only old generation 7 ninja swordsman left in the mist village, was no longer as majestic and powerful as before. He was covered with small wounds all over his body, panting and looking haggard. In particular, the blood flowing from his wounds had a light black color, and his lips and eyes were also a little purple, which was a typical result of being poisoned. Damn, what kind of monsters did Orochimaru create? The watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost panted a few times and felt that his breathing was becoming more and more difficult. It seemed that the strong toxicity caused inflammation and swelling of the respiratory tract, making it almost impossible to breathe. As for Samehada, he now looked wilted. When fighting with a half-snake man with 3 heads, Samehada absorbed some strange chakra and then became like this. Seeing the half-snake man, Ziggush Puffer Ghost knew very well that it was definitely the work of Orochimaru. Obviously, Orochimaru was now very familiar with Samehada's information, so he used special means to directly destroy his biggest trump card. Slowly standing up, Ziggush Puffer Ghost looked around with a gloomy face and had a bad premonition in his heart. The great white shark animal ninja ran out of the river, the golden eagle animal ninja who had been launching surprise attacks in the sky, the octopus animal ninja who had the ability to change color and could transform into poisonous tentacles, and the turtle animal ninja with amazing defense, and the pangolin animal ninja who had been hiding under his feet and occasionally attacked. These 5 people were only Chunin in terms of real strength, and at most they were stronger in physique and chakra, but after possessing the ability to transform into animals, and combining with the advantages of those animals, they became extremely difficult to deal with, and their strength was almost equivalent to that of special Jonin. If 5 special Jonins join forces, ordinary Jonins will definitely be defeated. However, Zigguration Puffer Ghost is not an ordinary Jonin. Even among the so-called elite Jonins, Zigguration Puffer Ghost belongs to the strongest level, belonging to the strongest echelon below the cage level. Under normal circumstances, even if Samehada is sealed, Zigguration Puffer Ghost will not be at a disadvantage when fighting against 5 special Jonins. Not to mention escaping, he even has the possibility of counterattack. However, Zigguration Puffer Ghost looked up at the weird half-human half-snake ninja with 3 heads. This guy is the biggest obstacle to his escape. It is so huge that it is almost close to that of his subordinate, with the chakra of the mist ninja monster Hashigaki Kisame, a weird software transformation, 3 heads that can stretch and shrink, a physique that is so strong that it only suffered minor injuries when hit by Samehada. 3 heads that can be seen 360 degrees, this is definitely an elite Jonin level ninja. Even in a one-on-one duel, without the big sword Samehada and Zigguration Pufferfish Ghost, he has no guarantee of victory, let alone now that he is being beaten up by a group of people. The abilities of Lord Orochimaru and Dr. Vegapunk are beyond your imagination. You'd better surrender quickly, Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost. With a bit of fanaticism, the ninja who turned into a half-snake man said excitedly, I have seen you on the battlefield before. The Mist Ninja Swordsmen are even one of the strongest among the 7 ninja swordsmen. At that time, I was just a chunin, and I shouldn't even attract your attention, for fear that you would kill me at will. But now, I can stand in front of you, and carry out your hunting mission. I have only undergone some physical transformations, and now I'm completely different from before. You want me to surrender? Dream on. A villain who has succeeded. Roaring angrily, Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost suppressed the shock and fear in his heart after hearing the incredible news, and rushed up again waving the Samehada in his hand. He no longer thought about entering the water to escape. After all, compared with those animal ninjas like great white sharks and octopuses, he had no advantage underwater, so he could only fight his way out. Although Samehada was wilted by the strange chakra, and temporarily lost the ability to absorb chakra, it can still be used as a hard mace. The swordsmanship of Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost, who was able to obtain Samehada, which is also considered the top ninja sword among the 7 ninja swords, is naturally remarkable. However, the animal ninjas on the opposite side did not fear at all. The animal genes gave them strong instinctive reactions and extraordinary physiques. The biggest bonus in this regard is naturally physical skills. Relying on their thick skin and flesh, the way a group of people fight is completely different from that of ordinary ninjas. Both sides charged at each other like warriors, and fought directly head-on. The poisonous tentacles of the octopus, the hard shell of the turtle, the sharp teeth of the great white shark, the sharp wings of the golden eagle, and the sharp claws of the pangolin. For a time these animal ninjas formed a 3-dimensional attack system, almost surrounding every space around Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost. Just by looking at the size of Zigguration Puffer, you can tell that he has never been a character known for his agility. Facing the attack of the animal ninja, Zigguration Puffer did not hesitate to wield the big sword Samehada and smashed it down directly. With a sound of puff, after biting off a piece of flesh on Zigguration Puffer's shoulder, the great white shark ninja was directly smashed in the chest by Samehada. Except for the last blow of the great white shark ninja, the attacks of other ninjas were all blocked by a layer of blood-colored armor on Zigguration Puffer, which was a mixture of Zigguration Puffer's own blood and chakra. However, after using this ability, Zigguration Puffer's face also became extremely pale. In addition to the loss of chakra, the most important thing is the loss of his own blood, which brought him great pressure. It can be bitten by a great white shark. It seems that the defense of this blood-colored armor is not very good. The most important aspect of this secret technique should not be defense. In a hidden base, Orochimaru and Vegapunk were sitting in front of the monitor, watching the current battle. It was Orochimaru who spoke. Chakra marks were made on all the experimental subjects. Through the ninjutsu and technology developed by Vegapunk, they can be monitored anytime and anywhere. Just as Orochimaru finished speaking, the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon also exploded at the same time. It can be said that both the speed and strength are much stronger than at the beginning. Almost instantly, the few people were beaten back again and again. Looking at the bloody appearance of the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon, Vegapunk touched his chin. I remember that there was a war between the Mist Ninja and Konoha before. Did the watermelon mountain puffer demon have this trick at that time? Chapter 30 The captured watermelon mountain puffer fish ghost. After hearing what Vegapunk said, Orochimaru answered without hesitation, "No, Zigguration puffer ghost never seems to have used this kind of trick. At least during the last Ninja World War, I never received any information about this. Besides Sumehada, this guy was best at water escape and hair ninjutsu activated by Yang escape. HMM." Vegapunk showed a meaningful smile on his face. Looking at Zigguration puffer ghost's performance, he had a vague guess in his heart. Is this because of psychological trauma? So he deliberately imitated the ninjutsu developed by the 8 gates. Unfortunately, the effect is much worse than the 8 gates, which is probably only equivalent to opening 3 or 4 gates. On the contrary, the side effects are at least equivalent to 7 gates. It cannot be said to be a complete failure, but for Zigguration puffer ghost, it is indeed a wrong route. In fact, Zigguration pufferfish ghost was not that stupid. His move was supposed to be used in conjunction with Sumehada. Through Sumehada's continuous absorption of chakra to heal the body, the side effects could be minimized, and the fighting time could be prolonged. It was just that Sumehada was exhausted this time, so he had to fight desperately. Vegapunk was a super genius in scientific research, but he had made no achievements in fighting. Relying on the talent and fighting instinct of this body and the training and development of scientific equipment, his own fighting power was not low, but his fighting wisdom was basically at the level of a novice. Therefore, he did not see the real intention of Zigguration pufferfish ghost's ninjutsu. Orochimaru saw it, but he obviously had no intention of speaking. Zigguration pufferfish ghost is going to lose. After watching for a while, Orochimaru quickly came to the conclusion that among the few people fighting against Zigguration pufferfish ghost, except for the great white shark, which was easy to deal with, the remaining few people were either able to fly and burrow into the ground, or could regenerate and had shells for defense, and their survival ability was much stronger than that great white shark. So for a while, although Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost had an absolute advantage, he couldn't kill another person in a short time, and as time passed, the combat effectiveness of this guy was gradually reduced. This kind of explosive ability, when fighting, pays attention to the word fast. The first round of burst is the most rapid, and then it will quickly weaken. Therefore, if you can't kill it instantly or seriously injure the opponent at the beginning, as long as you delay it a little, you are doomed to fail. Sure enough, a few minutes later, after the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost had a final burst and smashed the head of the octopus ninja, it fell down completely. Soon, in less than 10 minutes, the dying Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost and the biological weapon Sumehada were sent to Vegapunk and Orochimaru. Vegapunk didn't care much about the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost. He was just a taller fat man. In the world of pirates, there are many people taller and stronger than him. On the contrary, it was the Sumehada that attracted Vegapunk's attention. Although this knife was made of a fish that coexists with the three-tailed beast, in Vegapunk's opinion, its value might be higher than the three-tailed beast itself. Apart from other things, the ability to devour chakra and even ninjutsu and restore it is already a standard feature of the Otsutsuki clan. Although it is much worse than Nagato's Samsurai in terms of absorption ability and limit. What is the Samsurai? Being able to compare with the Samsurai in some aspects makes people look up to Sumehada. To a certain extent, the ability to devour and absorb chakra can be said to be the core power of the entire chakra system, and it can also be said to be the basis for the Otsutsuki clan to harvest planets. The various other abilities of the Otsutsuki clan, such as American English no Makoto, Yomi Hiraban, Yoshikami no Kami, and the expansion of the way-seeking jade, are all derivatives of the accumulation of a large amount of high-quality chakra, which is incomparable to the ability to absorb chakra. Vegapunk reached out and picked up Sumehada and injected chakra into it. This knife with its own will was not very obedient. Although Vegapunk's chakra was also very huge, it did not seem to suit Sumehada's appetite. The whole knife grew spikes on the handle, but after a piercing sound, it only left a few white marks on Vegapunk's hand. Vegapunk's physical defense was not as good as that of monster like Big Mom, and it was also worse than Kato, but it was only slightly worse than these two monsters. Sumehada's most terrifying ability was actually to absorb the power of chakra. Its own hardness and sharpness were at most slightly better than ordinary metal, so it naturally could not hurt Vegapunk. This thing is quite arrogant. Vegapunk frowned, stretched out his hand lightly, and the sound of sizzling was full of lightning. Samehada twitched immediately and collapsed to the ground after a moment. Samehada can absorb chakra, but Vegapunk uses pure electricity, which Samehada is not immune to. This time, Samehada thoroughly enjoyed the treatment of electrocuting fish. Vegapunk will not spoil Samehada, which is completely different from other ninjas who regard ninja swords as their second life. In Vegapunk's eyes, this thing is just a rare experimental product. When Vegapunk started electrocuting fish, Orochimaru had already made preparations. He collected a lot of cells directly from Samehada's body and then began to analyze it. After fiddling with Samehada twice, Vegapunk handed over the preliminary work of cell and gene observation to Orochimaru and turned his eyes to the Zigguishun pufferfish lying next to him. Zigguishun pufferfish's physique is indeed good. Although he was seriously injured all over his body, at least thousands of milliliters of blood had flowed, and his face was pale, he still supported himself and did not completely lose consciousness. Who are you? After hearing Zigguishun Puffer Ghost's question, Vegapunk said lightly, "Don't you see the situation clearly? Now it's time for me to ask you questions. Do you think there is anything to talk about between you and me?" Zigguishun Puffer Ghost said slowly and laboriously. Although the fat man was barely breathing, he did not show too much fear. Although the ninjas in this world have different personalities, those who can reach high positions have more or less some temperament. At least they are not completely cowards who are afraid of death. Even Zigguishun Puffer Ghost, if he had not been severely beaten by Might Day and turned from the 7 ninja swordsmen into the 3 lucky treasures, which completely broke through his psychological defenses, he would not have made the decision to betray the Mist Village. But to say that he is really afraid of death, it is not entirely true. Chapter 31 Temptation. I think we still have a lot of common topics. Vegapunk took out a test tube, shook it twice, and then used a syringe to extract the liquid in the test tube and injected it directly into the body of Zigguishun Puffer. As soon as the strange liquid was injected into Zigguishun Puffer, his injuries began to recover rapidly. There is no medical ninjutsu in the world of pirates, but because of this, the application of medicines is far beyond the world of Naruto. What Vegapunk injected into Zigguishun Puffer at this moment was a medicine he developed by reverse engineering the healing hormone of the Demon King. Basically, as long as there is a breath, it can be saved, and the side effects are also greatly reduced. In just a few minutes, the heavy injuries on Zigguishun Puffer had recovered by more than half. His eyes flashed with a fierce light, looking at Vegapunk who seemed to be defenseless. Seeing that Vegapunk turned around, and Orochimaru had already left with Samehada, Zigguishun Pufferfish gritted his teeth, stretched out his hand to make a seal, and the hair on his head rolled towards Vegapunk like a tentacle. Unfortunately, when his hair had just grown halfway, a piercing pain instantly broke out from his brain. Then, he completely lost control of his body and fell to the ground. "You are so impatient. Aren't you a ninja? You can't even bear such a short time." Vegapunk turned his head with an instrument and said to Zigguishun Pufferfish indifferently, but now, Zigguishun Pufferfish's face was distorted, sweating all over, and he couldn't say a word. "Are you kidding? Do you really think you are a good man?" Vegapunk put a lot of small nanorobots in the healing potion for Zigguishun Pufferfish. At such a close distance, Vegapunk can completely use his magnetic field to manipulate those nanorobots. Whether it is to cut off the brain's conducting nerves and turn people into vegetative people, or to directly release bioelectricity on the pain nerves, it is easy for people to try the 12th level of pain. After showing his ability for a while, Vegapunk snapped his fingers, and the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost took a breath and recovered. After looking up and down at the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost, Vegapunk touched his chin and asked, "Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost, do you want to become a Mizukage?" The air suddenly became quiet. The Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost, who was originally panting, looked at Vegapunk inexplicably, and finally couldn't help laughing. "Of course I want to become a Mizukage, but what does this have to do with you? Can you help me become a Mizukage?" "That's not impossible, Mr. Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost." Vegapunk ignored the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost's words and just smiled and said, "Are you kidding? Who do you think you are? Ziggush Puffer Ghost said with a sneer. No matter how chaotic the Mist Village is, it is still one of the 5 major ninja villages. Even now, the Mist Village still has its roots and there are bloodline limit families. In terms of strength, it is really not much different from the Cloud and Rock ninjas. Such a powerful ninja village, but the little ghost in front of him, who is only 14 or 15 years old, looks like he doesn't care at all. Ziggush Puffer Ghost naturally doesn't believe it. But Vegapunk continued to insist. Mr. Puffer Ghost, as far as I know, your status in the entire Mist Village should be ranked in the top 5. So how far are you from the position of Mizukage, and what conditions are required? What conditions? The ability to fight is the biggest condition. Ziggush Puffer Ghost said with his eyes rolled up. What he said is not wrong. Why do the Mist Village often have those lone warriors who want to assassinate the Mizukage and replace him? It's very simple, because such things are really possible. Because of the policy of the Blood Mist, there is almost no emotional factor between the Mist Village. In this situation, where the pressure is completely dependent on force, whoever has the stronger force can be the boss. If the assassination of the Mizukage is successful under the protection of the Shadow Guard, it proves the powerful strength of the assassin. If the assassin has a group of younger brothers, then it is not too difficult to seize the position of the Mizukage by force. If I can strengthen your strength, Mr. Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost, I wonder if Mr. Puffer Ghost can seize the position of the Mizukage? Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost narrowed his eyes and looked at Vegapunk seriously for the first time. After a moment of silence, he said, are those animal ninjas your subordinates? Not really. Although they were indeed created by me, they are Orochimaru's subordinates, but now Orochimaru has also worked with me. As soon as Vegapunk finished speaking, Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost trembled, and there was a bit of shock in his eyes. You have to know that at the end of that battle, because of the ninja's self-explosion, Ziggush Puffer Ghost was already very clear that his opponents were just a group of ordinary Chunins before. As a result, these Chunins were strengthened to the level of Special Jonin or even Elite Jonin within half a month. It was simply outrageous to the extreme. The most important thing is that this ability seems to be universal. He thought it was a secret technique developed by Orochimaru, but if all this was done by the blonde boy in front of him, then he might not be bragging. There are actually many ninjutsu and secret medicines with the same strengthening effect in the entire ninja world, such as Orochimaru's curse seal and the 3 color balls of the Akimichi family, but these things are extremely dangerous, and secondly, they are also very unadaptable. Most ordinary ninjas can't use them at all, and thirdly, they have serious consequences. However, the transformation technology used by those ninjas seems to be very mature. According to those ninjas, they were just a group of ordinary Chunins before the experiment. He has no special features, no strengths, has never learned any secret techniques, and has no bloodline limits. He is just an ordinary ninja who is relatively proficient in physical techniques and throwing techniques, and can also use 2 ordinary 5-element escape techniques. You can find a lot of such ninjas in any ninja village. They are basically the type that has exhausted their potential. If even such ninjas can be transformed, it means that this transformation can be used on a large scale. Not to mention others, there are probably 20 to 30 Chunins of this strength under his command. If all of them are successfully transformed, the strength of his subordinates will probably exceed that of the Mizukages and Buu. The most important thing is, can he also become stronger through this transformation? You have to know that his strength is only one step away from the cage level. Chapter 32, The Transformed Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish Ghost. Doctor, do you really want Ziggush Puffer to become the Mizukage? Do you really trust him that much? Under the illumination of the shadowless lamp, Orochimaru asked Vegapunk, who was undergoing the transformation operation, with a strange smile on his face. Haha, how is it possible? Facing Orochimaru, Vegapunk did not hide anything and answered coldly, if you really want to transform him, can't you just inject a tube of gene transformation liquid? As my assistant, have you really seen me use any transformation operation? So, the doctor should have some new ideas. Ziggush Puffer is really pitiful. He rushed to be an experimental subject. Orochimaru had an expression that was not expected, but there was a bit of curiosity in his eyes. It's not a new idea. In fact, I've already mastered this process. It's just that the conditions are different this time, so there may be some changes. Vegapunk said as he manipulated the scalpel to cut open the head of the watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost. The high-frequency oscillating scalpel was extremely sharp and was controlled to perfection. It directly cut off the watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost's skull and exposed his brain. Then, Vegapunk worked directly on the watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost's brain, cut open some areas, and took out a piece of strange tissue from the laboratory table and put it into the watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost's head. The strange tissue was like a small brain. The only difference was that the brain's patterns were like circuit boards, just like breathing, and it was still flashing light. Seeing Orochimaru's curious expression, Vegapunk explained directly, that is a quantum brain docking device, which directly docks into the quantum brain. Orochimaru nodded thoughtfully. Although he had never seen a quantum brain, he had heard from Vegapunk that it was Vegapunk's most outstanding creation. When fully operational, its computing power could reach the galaxy level, which was enough to simulate the movement of all matter in the entire galaxy in an inanimate state. Through the quantum brain docking device, I can directly control the other party, and I have a total of 6 control quotas. If there are more, it's not because of insufficient computing power, but because of my insufficient control. This kind of control is not to manipulate the other party like a puppet, but to make the other party unconditionally change their mentality and completely become my vassal, while perfectly retaining all the other party's personality and abilities. Haha, then I have to thank you, Doctor, for not controlling me directly. After hearing what Orochimaru said, Vegapunk shook his head. Don't be silly, how can there be something perfect in this world? After being installed with a quantum brain docking device and becoming my puppet, although the personality and ability will not change, and even the intelligence will not fall, it will lose its innovative ability and inspiration from then on. After hearing this, Orochimaru knew the reason why Vegapunk did not try to take action. As for Vegapunk, he sighed as he spoke, because he recalled his 3 assistants. Unfortunately, he discovered this shortcoming only after he had taken action against the 3 of them. When he later took the quantum brain docking device out of the 3 people's heads, even though he had deleted the memory of the 3 of them, the 3 guys still deduced something from the time of amnesia and quickly escaped without a trace. However, through that study, Vegapunk also had some doubts. It is very likely that what determines human inspiration is not the brain, but the deeper soul. In the pirate world, except for some devil fruits related to the soul, it is extremely difficult to observe the soul, but in this world, perhaps his soul research will also make some progress. Although his mind was still wandering, Vegapunk's control of the scalpel was perfect. The combination of the quantum chip in the brain and the magnetic field manipulation allowed Vegapunk to be able to sing a minor tune while controlling 100 iron needles to carve tens of thousands of words on rice grains. Soon as the operation was over, Vegapunk gave the watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost another shot and injected the genetic modification fluid. This is another new type of genetic modification fluid. In the last genetic modification process, we have tried summon beasts from the holy land of immortals and ordinary animals. This time, we use the genes of wild summoned beasts. That was when Orochimaru found a giant sperm whale at sea. With a length of nearly a kilometer, this giant summoned beast had almost no natural enemies in the sea. Orochimaru had a hard time repelling this sperm whale. Out of curiosity, he collected some body tissues. This time it can be regarded as a waste utilization. In fact, the main reason is that Orochimaru did not collect any powerful wild summon beast genes. In the absence of samples, it is natural to find a better experimental subject. After all, as the descendant of Raichi Cave, Orochimaru himself has no demand for wild summoned beasts. Although Vegapunk controlled the watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost, it is not entirely true that Vegapunk cares about this experimental subject. The quota for control is very precious, but the person being controlled is not precious. With Vegapunk's means, it only takes some time to directly create an artificial person who is more powerful than the watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost. The reason why he controlled the watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost was just to make it easier to infiltrate the mist village. However, any mist ninja jonin could do this. The watermelon mountain pufferfish was naturally not that precious, so Vegapunk used it as an experimental material. Soon, the genetic modification began to take effect. The watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost roared, and his whole body swelled again. His body, which was originally more than 2 meters tall, grew to 4 or 5 meters in one breath. He became sturdy, with a square head and a wide mouth, and his skin turned blue-gray. Very good. It seems that this experiment was successful. The genetic difference between the summoned beasts in the immortal art Holy Land and the summoned beasts in the wild is not big. Looking at the watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost standing there blankly, Vegapunk immediately drew some blood for testing, shaking the test tube and said happily. However, there seems to be some changes in the chakra. The same is true for creatures that mutate due to chakra. The summoned beasts in the wild have only awakened their own chakra, while the creatures that appear in the holy land of Senjutsu will absorb natural energy. It seems that the genetic modification fluid made by the summoned beasts in the wild is more about strengthening their own strength and chakra, while the summoned beasts in the holy land of Senjutsu will increase their adaptability to natural energy. Orochimaru, who was also studying the chakra of the watermelon mountain puffer demon, also reported. Chapter 33 Hashigaki Kisame's distress. Since arriving at the sea country to carry out the mission, Hashigaki Kisame has been a little uneasy. In the Mist Village, almost all ninjas think that Hashigaki Kisame is a standard cold-hearted mist ninja, and Kisame's performance also fully highlights this point. Cold-hearted, indifferent, everything for the mission, everything can be sacrificed. But in fact, Hashigaki Kisame is still a little different from his peers. If other mist ninjas are just brainwashed, numb, or driven crazy by the environment and turned into cold-blooded killers, then Kisame, who is often confused in his heart, thinks more that he is indeed guarding the interests of the Mist Shadow Village. This is exactly why this honest man suddenly broke out in the original work and killed the watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost. What the hell? You told me that intelligence is life and asked me to chop my opponents and companions every day, but you turned around and sold the intelligence yourself. What's the point of all the sacrifices I made? If Kisame didn't believe what Zigguration Puffer Ghost said, he wouldn't be so disillusioned. Maybe Zigguration Puffer Ghost himself didn't expect that his subordinates were so simple and honest and believed what he said verbally. Where did Master Zigguration go? This time the mission is mainly just to explore, and the Sea Ninja Village is just a newly established ninja village. He said it was a secret exploration, but looking at Zigguration Puffer Ghost's body shape, you can see that this guy's definitely not an exploration type of ninja. What's more, it's just a newly established small ninja village. What kind of secrets can make the head of the Seven Swordsmen take action alone? Knowing that he shouldn't think too much, Kisame couldn't help but have some doubts in his heart. After all, Zigguration Puffer Ghost's actions were too weird. The most important thing is that after Zigguration Puffer Ghost was defeated, he conducted various transformation experiments, which wasted too much time. Occasionally missing for a day or a half, it can be understood as a secret connection with the sea country, but missing for more than 3 days at a time, something is wrong. Master Kisame, there is new information. Just when Hashigaki Kisame was still thinking quietly, he suddenly heard the voice of his subordinates. He turned his head and looked at the ninja who appeared in front of him. Let me see. The ninja handed over the scroll, and Kisame took a look and then frowned. Is it true? The traces of Master Zigguation's battle finally disappeared? Can you tell what the reason is? According to the observation of the reconnaissance team, the biggest possibility is Master Zigguation was captured. The ninja said it with a stiff face, and Hashigaki Kisame's face changed. How is it possible? Just relying on the Sea Ninja Village? The origin of the Sea Ninja Village has been turned upside down by the Mist Ninjas during this period. In terms of intelligence exploration and protection, the gap between the Sea Ninja Village and the Mist Ninjas is too big. Although the strength of the ninjas under Vegapunk has increased a lot, the increase is all combat power, and there is no great progress in many aspects such as intelligence search and confidentiality. So now, Hashigaki Kisame has long known the origin of the Sea Ninja. At the beginning, it was only the Snow Ninjas from the Snow Country who initiated the alliance. Hashigaki Kisame also knew that these Snow Ninjas were guys who used ice escape by taking advantage of the terrain. In this regard, the Mist Village has always been disdainful. After all, the real ice escape users come from the Mist Ninjas. How can those fake knockoffs be taken seriously by the real mist ninjas? Even Kisame's heart has a little contempt for the Sea Ninja village, so he was so surprised when he saw this information. You know, Zigguration Puffer Ghost is already second to one person in the Mist Village, and is equivalent to the existence of the Anbu Minister. Otherwise, it is impossible to have a ninja like Kisame. In terms of strength, Zigguration Puffer Ghost, who holds the big sword Samehada, is now second only to the Mizuka Jinjinkriki, and can be ranked at least in the top 5 in the entire Mist Ninja. With this kind of strength, the Sea Village may be able to repel him by relying on the power of numbers, but it is almost impossible to capture him. Repelling the opponent, defeating the opponent, killing the opponent, and capturing the opponent are completely different things. Even if the Mizukage is called over, killing the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost may not be too difficult, but capturing him is less than half the chance. Looking at the horrified expressions of his ninjas, Hashigaki Kisame took a long breath. Although he showed a cold personality and acted ruthlessly, Kisame was not a really cruel guy, and he would not vent his anger on ordinary ninjas for no reason. Do you have more specific information? Who did it? Was Zigguration under siege? The Chunin breathed a sigh of relief and continued. Zigguration was indeed under siege. According to the traces at the scene, there should be 5 besiegers, among whom there should be a guy who is proficient in water combat and a master of earth escape. In addition, we collected some blood and body tissues there. Preliminary judgment is that Zigguration Puffer Ghost should have been poisoned, so the other party should also have a ninja who is good at using poison. According to judgment, the strength of 4 of them is that of a special Jonin, and there should be an elite among the Jonin to support the battle. It must be said that these big ninja villages are really good at intelligence, and their analysis is almost completely close to reality. Except for the Golden Eagle ability user who has the ability to fly, because he did not leave any traces on the ground, so he was not discovered by this group of people. They have already obtained a rough idea of the information of other animal ability users. After hearing these analyses, Kisame frowned tightly. Does this new Sea Ninja village actually have so many elites? Moreover, it would be a bit difficult to capture Zigguration Puffer Ghost, his boss, directly. Although any situation could happen in a battle between ninjas, Kisame still tended to think that the other party had been prepared for it, so his old boss would fall so hard. Kisame was still frowning and thinking. At this time, the Chunin asked again, Master Kisame, what should we do next? Should we rescue Master Zigguration Puffer Ghost? Hashigaki Kisame opened his mouth, but he didn't know what to say. As a talent ninja, Hashigaki Kisame was undoubtedly excellent, and could even be called the most ninja-like ninja in the entire Naruto world, but it would be difficult for him to make his own decisions. Whether in the Mist Village, or in the Akatsuki organization in the future, Kisame existed as a toolman. Making plans and finalizing decisions had nothing to do with him. Chapter 34's Abuser's Action. Hashigaki Kisame was in a state of indecision, while Zabuza, another future ninja Sword 7, was in a state of rapid action. Zabuza was originally a ninja with explosive action. He killed all his classmates at the beginning, and later directly assassinated and attacked the Mizukage, which clearly showed his action ability. After getting a rough intelligence about what kind of sea ninja the sea country had created this time, Zabuza was ready to take further action. Although it was a reconnaissance team, in addition to normal reconnaissance methods, catching the opponent and interrogating him was also a very normal reconnaissance method. Zabuza, who had always been confident in himself, naturally chose the second one. The sea country was originally an island country with thick water vapor. Every morning, there would often be heavy fog. This was undoubtedly a great enhancement for Zabuza, who was proficient in the mist ninja technique. In the fog, the secrecy of the mist hidden technique suddenly increased several times. Many ordinary ninjas didn't even feel anything at all, and were subdued in the suddenly strong fog. However, after Zabuza succeeded 3 times in a row, he began to feel that something was wrong. The 3 ninjas he captured were only average in terms of combat intelligence and ninja quality, and could only be considered mediocre genin. However, their physical fitness and chakra volume were higher than those of ordinary Chunin, and their nerve reflexes were also extremely fast, and their comprehensive strength basically reached the level of Chunin. If this situation only occurred occasionally, it would not be a big deal. To put it bluntly, combat intelligence and ninja quality are all false. Although in most cases they are consistent with the level of the ninja itself, it is not uncommon for people with strong physical fitness to have low combat intelligence. However, this happened to 3 people in a row, and when they were fighting, their combat rhythm was obviously out of sync with their current physical reactions. It seemed as if their strength suddenly increased, so they could not control their bodies. This made Zabuza wonder. To be on the safe side, Zabuza, who was originally preparing to attack some stronger prey, finally stopped. These ninjas certainly have some flaws, but their strength as Chunin is real. According to Zabuza's observation, the status of these ninjas seems to be the lowest level in the ninja village, that is, the feeling of ordinary genin, which is really scary. A ninja village with all members above the level of Chunin? If it is really this kind of strength, then this sea ninja village is probably not a joke. Zabuza, with a gloomy face, asked several of his men to take the 3 ninja captives to their temporary base, where there were several torturers. People have limited energy, and it is difficult to be comprehensive. Among the same level, most of these ninjas who are proficient in torture are a little weaker than normal combat ninjas, so those people have been staying in the base and did not fight with Zabuza. But when Zabuza arrived at the base, the entire base was empty. No, it cannot be said to be empty. There were still a few ninjas standing at the door of the base, but the remaining mist ninja had disappeared without a trace. Almost as soon as he arrived at the base, Zabuza's face changed completely. Was he robbed? Very good. It seems that I underestimated you. I didn't expect that a small ninja village that had just been established would have such intelligence capabilities. After hearing what Zabuza said, the ninja named Langair Avalanche standing in the front blushed slightly. With their ninja village with no background, how could they detect the movements of the mist ninja? It was nothing more than Vegapunk opening a plugin for them. Relying on their own devil fruit ability, they directly simulated and developed a life magnetic field radar, which can observe the life magnetic field strength of all people in the entire Sea Kingdom who exceed a certain level. Although this thing can only detect the life magnetic field of humans, and cannot mark people, the life magnetic field of ninjas with strong chakra must be strong. The mist ninjas sent to the Sea Kingdom this time are all elites. A large number of powerful life magnetic fields gathered together. It would be strange if they were not discovered. Of course, Langair Avalanche would never tell Zabuza about this. He just pulled out his kunai indifferently and pointed it at Zabuza. What are you doing here, Miss Ninja, in our Sea Ninja territory? It's a meaningless speech. Ninjas don't make a living by talking. If you want to occupy our Miss Ninja territory, what you really need is kunai and shuriken. Zabuza spoke coldly while tightening the imitation beheading sword behind him and instantly pulled it out and pointed it at Langair Avalanche. Okay, then let's talk with strength. Langair Avalanche frowned and also raised the kunai to his chest, ready for battle. In fact, in terms of strength, the original Langair Avalanche is undoubtedly far inferior to Zabuza. The chakra armor in the movie version has not been developed yet, and the ice escape he relies on has basically become a pure water escape after leaving the snow country. Without ice escape, Langair Avalanche can only be regarded as a special jonin at most. The worst of the 7 ninja swordsmen are all at the level of jonin, and most of them should be around the level of elite jonin. Momochi's Zabuza is undoubtedly that kind of standard elite jonin. Even if Zabuza does not have the beheading sword now, and theoretically has been weakened a little, the beheading sword is the weakest in terms of combat effectiveness among the 7 ninja swords. As long as it is not a protracted war, the beheading sword can be regarded as an ordinary weapon. In other words, even without the beheading sword, Zabuza's strength is around the level of elite jonin. Even if he may just touch the edge of this level due to his age, it is not something that a special jonin like Langair Avalanche can touch. However, since Langair Avalanche dared to stand out outside the snow country, he naturally had sufficient confidence in himself. As the strongest master of the original Snow Ninja village, he was naturally the first experimental material for Vegapunk's transformation and training. After passing the training in the training cabin and being injected with the unique Snow Wolf gene of the Snow Country, the current Langair Avalanche is completely different from before. Langair Avalanche and Zabuza confronted each other for a while. Compared with Zabuza's murderous aura from killing countless people since childhood, Langair Avalanche, who had only stayed in the snow country and killed less than a dozen people, was undoubtedly at a disadvantage in terms of momentum. Feeling that his momentum was at a disadvantage, Langear Avalanche swung his kunai without hesitation and threw it directly. After Zabuza shook his head slightly to avoid the attack, Langear Avalanche howled like a wolf and turned into a white werewolf and pounced on him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35 Temporary Escape. Waving the longsword in his hand, Zabuza tried hard to force Langear Zubeng back, frowning. What kind of transformation is this? A werewolf? You have no relationship with the Inuzuka clan, right? This is our new power. With this power, even the Mist Village can't be our opponent. Langear Zubeng licked his paws and spoke excitedly, with a faint green light flashing in his eyes. Although he turned into a werewolf, Langear Zubeng's hands only had some changes in the nails, which did not affect the seals. As soon as he finished speaking, he continued to seal with both hands. New power. Zabuza recalled those strange tunins, and his pupils shrank slightly, but now was not the time to think about these things. Seeing that the other party began to seal, Zabuza also began to seal and use ninjutsu without hesitation. Water escape, water dragon bullet. Water escape, water dragon bullet. Almost instantly, the two use the same water escape ninjutsu. In fact, this is also normal. The Dragon Bullet series of ninjutsu is widely circulated in the ninja world. After a lot of improvements, it has almost reached a perfect balance in power and difficulty. Otherwise, there would not be so many ninjas learning it. The two water dragon bullets collided with each other. After a moment, the water dragon bullet of Langear Avalanche gained the upper hand and quickly overwhelmed Zabuza's water dragon bullet, forcing him to dodge and retreat. Fortunately, after overwhelmed Zabuza's water dragon bullet, Langear Avalanche's ninjutsu also lost most of its power, so Zabuza was not injured. The ninjutsu levels of both sides are almost the same. Considering that Langear Avalanche's seal was before Zabuza's attainments in ninjutsu are slightly better. However, in terms of the amount of chakra, the Langear Avalanche, which has undergone transformation and training, is more than one level stronger than the young Zabuza. The power of all ninjutsu ultimately comes down to the amount of chakra. Langear Avalanche, which has an absolute advantage in this regard, is undoubtedly more powerful than Zabuza. Unable to compete with the ninjutsu, Zabuza instinctively stretched out his hand to form a seal, and performed his old skill, the mist hidden technique. For a moment, the sky and the earth immediately became foggy, and everyone disappeared in the thick fog. Although the silent assassination technique is Zabuza's signature, it is difficult to use in group battles. After all, this move does not distinguish between enemies and friends. Even Zabuza himself can't see anything in the thick fog, and can only rely on sound and basic perception to judge the opponent's actions. Fortunately, Zabuza's subordinates have also learned the silent assassination technique. In this thick fog, they can still have a certain perception ability and can distinguish between friends and enemies. After all, they have such a boss. If they don't learn the silent assassination technique, they may be killed by their boss's tricks one day. Langear Zubeng, who turned into a half-wolf, shrugged his nose in the thick fog and grinned with a ferocious expression. What an idiot. You actually use the mist hidden technique on me who has the ability of a snow wolf. Don't you know that the sense of smell of wolves is 40 times stronger than that of humans? Indeed, in addition to the Byakugan and perception ninjutsu, ninjas with unusual sense of smell and hearing can also be said to be the nemesis of the mist hidden technique. In the original work, it is not so much Kakashi who really defeated Zabuza, but rather his ninja dogs. Otherwise, it is unknown whether Hatake Kakashi can win against the mist hidden technique. Kakashi still needs the help of the ninja dog to determine Zabuza's location, and Langear Avalanche's sense of smell is already better than that of the ninja dog, which will be more convenient in the range of the mist hidden technique. Slightly twitching his nose, Langairav launched through the shuriken in one direction without hesitation, and then there came the sound of swords entering flesh, and muffled groans in that direction, and the smell of blood slowly spread. The first one. Langairav launched sneered, and then the whole person turned into a white shadow, pounced in another direction, and directly killed another Mist Ninja. However, after a few minutes, the fog gradually dissipated, leaving only Langairav and his two men, still standing there, but Langairav face was not good. Throwing away the clothes in his hand, Langairav face was full of anger and annoyance, and gritted his teeth and said, "Chase him." Langairav never thought that Zabuza would finally set him up with an empty city plan. In fact, he had already escaped, and the one left there was just a water clone wearing his clothes. Zabuza Momoch's clothes confused his sense of smell. When Langairav dispersed his water clones, he realized that something was wrong. But at this time, Zabuza had already escaped with a prisoner. In fact, Langairav didn't think about it. Zabuza was also a player who had experienced the Ninja World War. Although the Mist Village had always been a one-round player, it was much better than Langairav, who had never experienced any war. In Zabuza's mind, he and others were just a reconnaissance team after all. The most important thing was to bring back intelligence. As for fighting to the death with the opponent, it was not within Zabuza's consideration. Even if Zabuza won the battle, it actually didn't make any sense. What's more, this was the sea country, and the opponent would have new reinforcement at any time. Even if Zabuza was confident in himself, he didn't think that his vanguard team could deal with a ninja village with thousands of people. In this case, retreat was the first factor that Zabuza needed to consider. As for his Mist Ninja subordinates, they were not within Zabuza's consideration. Although Langairav led his men to chase after him immediately, Zabuza was not a pushover. He had already prepared to escape, and would not ignore Langairav's dog nose. Standing by the river, Langairav looked extremely ugly. After taking a few long breaths, he gave up the pursuit. For those guys with excellent sense of smell, the best way to get rid of them is naturally the river. As long as you jump into the river, no matter how strong your sense of smell is, you will not be able to smell anything in the end. Afterwards, just find a place to go ashore upstream or downstream of the river to get rid of the pursuers behind you. Although the coping method is simple, it is extremely practical when facing pursuit, especially for ninjas, who also have the ability to tread water without leaving even watermarks. It's really a lesson, but if you think you can escape so easily, then you are too naive, or the next time you face an opponent, you will really despair. Langairav was angry for a moment, but soon calmed down and spoke lightly with a sneer on his lips. Chapter 36 Zabuza is captured. Damn, these guys from the Sea Ninja Village really can't be underestimated. With an unconscious prisoner on his back, Zabuza jumped on the tree at a high speed while looking back. He was relieved until he found that there were no pursuers behind him. Although he escaped directly, it was just a decision made by Zabuza based on the situation, and it did not mean that he was afraid of the Wolf Fang avalanche. Even if the Wolf Fang avalanche had some restraint on Zabuza, Zabuza believed that if he continued to fight, he would definitely be the winner in the end. However, it was not a wise move for Zabuza to entangle with the opponent in someone else's base camp. Anyway, he had already obtained important information and captured a prisoner. Zabuza now wanted to retreat. Maybe Zabuza would not have taken the Sea Ninja Village seriously before, but now that he has discovered so many strange things, if he still thinks that the Sea Ninja Village is just a bunch of small fish, then Zabuza is really an idiot. If he really encounters dozens or hundreds of Chunin, an assassination type Jonin like Zabuza will not be able to get away at all. Moreover, judging from the current situation, there must be at least 30 or 40 Jonins on the other side. Even if they are only at the level of special Jonins, they are enough to easily destroy their exploration team. The Sea Village seems to have mastered a method of strengthening the physical fitness of ninjas on a large scale, and also has the ability to transform animals. If this method has no restrictions, then the information this time is really too important. If our ninja village can also master this ability. Zabuza's eyes were solemn and revealed a bit of passion. This time for the Mist Village, it was both a crisis and an opportunity. The sea village might have an impact on the status of the mist village, but at the same time, once this strengthening method was obtained, the mist village would definitely become the strongest ninja village in the entire ninja world. In this era, there are no supermodel level ninjas like Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha. Any cage of the 5 major ninja villages would probably not be able to get a good result when facing thousands of chunins. Perhaps only the Mizukage of his own village could fight against thousands of chunins, not because of his strength, but because he was a Jinkriki, possessing the tailed beast, an infinite power bank. Just when Zabuza Momochi was still daydreaming, he suddenly felt as if his legs were being grabbed by someone. Zabuza, who was jumping, lost his balance and fell directly from the tree with a crash. What's going on? Zabuza said in surprise, and when he lowered his head, he saw white arms growing out of his legs, crossing left and right, holding his ankles. His pupils shrank slightly, and Zabuza stretched out his hand to pull out the big sword behind him, but he felt his wrist tightened and saw 2 more arms growing from his waist, holding his wrists. Before he could react, he saw arms stretching out from all over his body, blocking his joints, making Zabuza unable to move at all, and he could only arch around on the ground like a maggot. Damn. What kind of ability is this? Even though Zabuza was a veteran of the Mist Village, and had seen countless strange and bizarre secret techniques, he had never seen such a strange scene. These arms that grew out of his body seemed white and tender, slender, and soft, but they were actually incredibly powerful. Even with the blessing of chakra, Zabuza couldn't break free at all, and even his wrists and ankles were pinched and hurt. It's so easy. The fighting style of ninjas seems to be restrained by my ability. A faint voice sounded, and Zabuza tried to raise his head, and saw a hot black-haired beauty walking in the distance. The woman's face had a bit of intellectuality, and she smiled at the corners of her mouth. Looking at Zabuza lying on the ground, she showed a bit of inquiry. This person is naturally Nico Robin. In terms of strength, Nico Robin, even after being strengthened by Vegapunk and learning the use of chakra, is actually not too strong. Even if she could defeat Zabuza, it would never be so easy. However, Nico Robin's flower fruit ability is strange and unpredictable. In the pirate world, when facing those physical monsters with amazing physical strength, there is still a defect of insufficient strength. But for the fragile ninjas, this kind of limbs growing from their own bodies are simply a natural nemesis. After all ninjas are fragile mages and high-speed assassins, and Nico Robin's flower fruit does not need to consider the target's dodge at all. It is almost a sure hit, and there is no time to attack at all. It can be said that it is destined to take the initiative. The combination of the two leads to Nico Robin being able to kill almost 99% of the ninjas in the entire ninja world in seconds. Except for some guys who have transformed their bodies and are not human, or ninjas who have practiced their physical bodies to the limit. There are only some bloodline limit ninjas who do not need to make hand seals and can directly manipulate secret techniques, who can resist this ability. Obviously, Momochi's abuser is not classified as one of the 1%, so before he saw Nico Robin, he was captured by Nico Robin, who discovered him with the observation haki and the ability of the flower fruit. What? Zabuza was also captured by the sea village? Kisame looked at the new intelligence and felt overwhelmed. He had only been in the sea country for 4 days, and his leaders and colleagues had already been killed. Could it be that he and others were not investigating the sea village, but the Konoha village? What is going on? The other party's intelligence is so accurate. Is there any ninjutsu that can detect a large area? No. If that's the case. Just at this time, there was a noisy sound outside the base. Hashigaki Kisame's face changed. He drew out the long sword in his hand and jumped out directly. When Kisame came outside, he happened to see a tall figure walking in. A group of Miss Ninja Chunin, as if they had found a backbone, were crowding around that figure, with excitement on their faces. How could he not be excited? Originally, I thought that it would be easy for me and the Mist Ninja to come here to investigate a newly established small ninja village, right? As a result, the commander disappeared on the first day, and on the third day, the deputy commander was also captured, leaving only the shark-faced Kisame as the Jonin. The key is that Kisame is useless. This guy can fight, but he used to be a murderer, so it is really difficult for him to organize the plan. On the contrary, when most Chunins see this shark-faced man, the first thing they think of is that the mission has failed. Will he be murdered by him? Chapter 37 Leaving and Lurking. Kisame looked up and saw Zigguration Buffer Demon and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Although Kisame had some guesses in his mind, when Zigguration Buffer Demon was captured at the beginning, Kisame gave up that idea after Zabuza was captured. The possibility of one Jonin having problems is already very small, and the possibility of two Jonin having problems is extremely small. Master Zigguration, you are back. Kisame lowered his head and said respectfully. Although he only glanced at him, in Kisame's eyes, Zigguration Buffer Demon seemed to be much more powerful than 3 days ago. Beside him, there was a tall black-haired woman wearing a mask, and a blonde boy wearing the same mask. Could they be the spies of the Master in the Sea Kingdom? Before Kisame could think too much, Zigguration Buffer Demon's face, which had been tense, showed a bit of pain, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Only then did Kisame realize that the big sword Samehada behind Zigguration Buffer Demon had disappeared without a trace. My lord, Samehada. It was taken away. Zigguration Buffer Demon covered his chest and breathed a sigh of relief, then said coldly, come back with me. Kisame. I got an extremely important message from the Sea Ninja village, and I must report it to the Mizukage in person. I understand, my lord. Kisame was stunned for a moment. Although he felt that Zigguration Buffer Demon's tone was a little wrong, as a top tool man, he didn't have any other ideas. As for the other Chunins, they didn't dare to have any objections. In this way, a group of Miss Ninjas urgently cleaned up their bases and summoned all the ninjas who were gathering intelligence outside. 2 hours later, they got back on the departing ship. The ship of the Mist Ninja has become a small dot on the horizon, and on the shore, there are 2 figures standing, watching the ship in the distance. The doctor is really confident. 2 people actually sneaked into the Mist Ninja alone. The boss always has his own ideas. What's more, with Sister Hancock protecting his safety, the ones who should be worried about the Mist Ninja should be those. The first person to speak was Orochimaru with long black hair and a grayish face, and the one who answered beside him was Nico Robin, the former assistant of Vegapunk and the current village chief of the Sea Ninja village. There are only 4 senior executives in the Sea Ninja village now. Although Orochimaru and Vegapunk have management capabilities, they are both impatient with worldly affairs and obsessed with research. In the original work, Orochimaru would not play the Ninja Village game if it were not for more experimental subjects and research funds. If Hancock is left to govern the Ninja Village, I'm afraid it will become a charismatic governance and fan politics like the 9 Snake Island in One Piece. In this case, naturally, only the all-round Nico Robin is the best choice for the leader of the Ninja Village. Nico Robin may lack some experience, but with her IQ and deck, it is not difficult for her to play a Ninja Village. As for her strength, although she is not ranked in the world of pirates, in the world of Naruto, even if she does not have the flower fruit, which is almost cheating, she can be regarded as a master who can compete with ordinary Kage. After all, the conventional combat power of the Naruto world is a whole level lower than that of the world of pirates. Without the group of Otsutsuki gods to raise the world level, the ninjas are still not as good as those great pirates and admirals who can destroy an island and a country at will. Really? To be so respected by Miss Robin, and to be the personal guard of Dr. Vegapunk. It seems that Hancock should not be underestimated. Orochimaru licked the corner of his mouth and glanced at Nico Robin. When Nico Robin captured Zabuza and came back, Orochimaru was very curious about the ability of the flower fruit she showed. In the past, he would have tried to get some of Nico Robin's blood for a search. After all, Nico Robin was Vegapunk's assistant before, so she probably wouldn't care about such things. But now he has so many research projects on hand. Even if he wants to study Nico Robin's bloodline limit, I'm afraid he will have to wait for a few years. Thinking of this, Orochimaru couldn't help showing a somewhat depressed expression. It seems that he still has to find a way to solve the problem of lifespan as soon as possible. Although after obtaining the data of Vegapunk's soul transfer experiment, Orochimaru has completely perfected his non-corpse reincarnation technique. Compared to reincarnation, Orochimaru thinks it is better to study the use of natural energy to prolong life and become a sage. In the past, Orochimaru had no idea about natural energy. Now after cooperating with Vegapunk, He has the confidence to crack the secrets of natural energy and sages within 10 years. Naturally, reincarnation is not so urgent. Thinking of this, Orochimaru didn't want to waste time and turned around and left the coast. We have to teach Vegapunk the shadow clone technique as soon as possible. Otherwise, how slow will his research be? Others can learn it just by watching it once. Why is this guy so slow to learn a simple ninjutsu like shadow clone? HU. The blonde boy sneezed, with a look of surprise on his face. It must be Orochimaru who is gossiping about me again. Damn it. It's too difficult to project a quantum chip into the shadow clone structure. This is much more difficult than any S-level ninjutsu. Well, dear, if you are tired, you can take a break first. I made delicious barbecue for you. Do you want me to give you a massage? A gentle and sweet voice sounded in my ears. Hancock, wearing a mask, walked into the cabin with a plate of barbecue and persuaded Vegapunk, who looked distressed. Don't worry, I'm not tired. The blonde boy Vegapunk shook his head, looked at Hancock, and his mouth twitched slightly. It was also thanks to the fact that Zigguration Puffer Ghost was one of their people. Otherwise, with Hancock's high-profile personality, it would be impossible for her to hide on this ship. After all, Hancock is a super narcissistic brain who doesn't even bother to learn the transformation technique. According to Hancock herself, that is the beauty of the concubine. How can it be covered up with such a vulgar ninjutsu? So in the end, Hancock could only wear a mask. Although such a tall and well-built woman would be quite conspicuous wearing a mask, it is much better than Hancock showing her true face. After rejecting Hancock's barbecue and massage services, Vegapunk turned his attention to the analysis of the shadow clone structure. With the quantum chip, Vegapunk's learning ability and chakra control power are the best in the entire ninja world. Basically, any ninjutsu can be learned at a glance, but he encountered a major difficulty in the shadow clone. Chapter 38, Entering the Mist Village. It is easy to create an ordinary shadow clone, but if you want the shadow clone to have its own super intelligence, you must project a quantum chip on the shadow clone, which is the real difficulty. Shadow clones used for combat are meaningless to Vegapunk. Without the addition of quantum chips, the effect of shadow clones in scientific research is not great, so Vegapunk has been trying to solve this problem for some time. Although he is still complaining, in fact, this research has reached the final stage. Basically, in 1 or 2 days, Vegapunk will be able to succeed in research. Although Vegapunk used to study science, not ninjutsu, his brain can study anything quickly. This improved version of the shadow clone can make him think hard for several days, and its difficulty can indeed be said to exceed S-level ninjutsu. This time when going to the Land of Water, Vegapunk and Hancock took advantage of the east wind of the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon, and were ready to take down the entire Mist Ninja. It is difficult to operate in other ninja villages, but the Mist Ninja is indeed a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. As long as Zigguration Puffer Ghost can kill the Mizukage, lift the Blood Mist rule, and let the ninjas of the Mist Village know that the Mizukage is being manipulated, he is almost destined to become the new Mizukage. In this way, it will be very easy to annex the Mist Village. At worst, the Sea Village will be annexed by the Mist Village. Anyway, it's a matter of transferring from one hand to the other, and with Vegapunk's ability, there is no fear that he will not be able to control the Mist Village at that time. No ninja can refuse the technology that makes him stronger. After solving the problem of position, Vegapunk is destined to become a high-level person in any ninja village. It is not difficult to become the shadow of a village, because Vegapunk has mastered the method of making all ninjas stronger, and he has the power to protect himself from becoming a tool, so he can naturally get the support of most ninjas. The distance between the Sea Kingdom and the Water Kingdom is not close. It takes about 10 days of sailing time, and some islands will be replenished in the middle. Fortunately, Zigguration Puffer Ghost urged urgently, and the ninjas were very efficient. Therefore, after 12 days, the ship docked at the dock of the Water Kingdom. After that, the group rushed to the Mist Village without stopping. Generally, it was not easy for a stranger with chakra to enter the Mist Village. However, with Zigguration Puffer Ghost, a high-ranking official of the Mist Village, Vegapunk and Hancock naturally entered the Mist Village without any danger. The Mist Village gave Vegapunk a feeling of being deserted and solemn, which was completely different from the impression of Konoha Village in his previous life. There were almost no ordinary people except ninjas here. People on the road were basically ninjas, coming and going in a hurry, with indifferent faces and an expression of keep away from strangers. In addition to the shops that need the most basic food, clothing, housing and transportation, there is no place for leisure and relaxation here. Even the owners of those shops that meet basic needs are generally some injured and disabled ninjas. No wonder these Miss Ninjas are all mentally disturbed. It would be strange if they could be mentally normal if they stayed in a place like a killer camp every day. Vegapunk looked around and sighed. Suddenly, he looked at a group of buildings in the distance that were empty. He couldn't help but pull Hoshigaki Kisame and asked, "Why is it empty? Was there anyone there before?" Kisame was a little caught off guard by Vegapunk's attitude of not caring about others. However, when he saw that Zigguration Puffer Ghost had no reaction, Kisame, who didn't have a strong opinion, also explained, "That is the residence of the Bloodline Limit family. It is the Snow Clan that uses ice escape. These Bloodline Limit families no longer live in the Mist Village." TSK. Vegapunk finally understood what was going on. Obviously, just like Konoha's rejection of Uchiha, these Bloodline families were also rejected by the Mist Village. There is nothing new under the sun. First, they were driven out of the village, or driven to the edge of the village. Then conflicts were provoked, and finally the clan was directly exterminated. The procedures of these ninja villages are similar. After all, it is definitely not easy to start inside the ninja village. While the vitality of ninjas is fragile, their destructive power is stronger than one another. If any senior ninja is determined to destroy, he can easily blow up several blocks. In fact, the Snow Clan has been almost wiped out by the Mist Ninjas, but this kind of thing is not easy to say, and Kisame did not continue to talk. Zigguration Puffer Ghost led the way in front, and soon brought his men to the Mizukage building, only to be stopped by several masked ninjas at this time. After a brief negotiation, Zigguration Puffer Ghost asked the other men to disband, and he led Hoshigaki Kisame, Hancock, and Vegapunk into the Mizukage building. At this time, Hoshigaki Kisame also felt something was wrong. Zigguration Puffer Ghost's face was too serious, and there was a hint of murderous aura leaking out of his body. As a ninja who has killed countless people, Hoshigaki Kisame could feel that this was a sign of murderous intent. But if he was murderous in the Mizukage's office, who would be the target? Could it be the Mizukage? What is going on? If a fight really breaks out, which side should I stand on? Theoretically, I'm a ninja of the Mist Ninja, so I should stand on the side of the Mizukage, but I'm also a direct subordinate of the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon. According to the rules of the Mist Ninja Village, I only need to be responsible to my direct superior. Kisame's mind was a mess, but he still instinctively tensed his body, and his eyes showed a bit of vigilance. Here we are. When he arrived at the door of the Mizukage's office, the murderous aura on the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon had gradually subsided, so the two ninjas guarding the door didn't feel anything, and let him enter the office directly. In the spacious office, there sat a boy who looked only 14 or 15 years old, with green hair and purple eyes, and a scar under his left eye that looked like a suture mark. His face was calm, and there was a hint of numbness. However, there were many ninjas like this in the Mist Ninja Village, so the expression of this Mizukage was nothing special. Puffer Ghost, you're back. How's the intelligence gathering going? The Mizukage named Yagiragoju turned his lavender eyes and asked. Although this Mizukage looks very young, he is actually almost 40 years old. It's just that he was born with a baby face that makes him look very young. He has ruled the entire Mist Village for nearly 10 years. Although his position in the Mist Village is not very stable due to his poor governance, he still has some majesty over a long period of time. Zigguration Puffer Ghost lowered his head seemingly respectfully. Yes, the intelligence gathering in the sea country has been completed, and there, we got a very important piece of information. Oh. Yagiragoji raised his head slightly. What important information is it? That is, Lord Mizukage, when were you controlled by the illusion? Chapter 39, Illusion Exposed. Just as the words fell, the replica of the big sword Samehada behind Zigguration Puffer Demon had already smashed down towards Gaoju Yagira. Gaoju Yagira's originally wooden eyes immediately became extremely sharp, and the whole person instantly pulled back, and at the same time, he pulled out a long stick iron hook with flowers from his back, and blocked the replica big sword that fell from the sky. Zigguration Puffer Demon is more than 2 meters tall, and he can use the big sword Samehada, so he is naturally born with infinite strength. Gaoju Yagira is a small man of about 1.6 meters. Even as a Jinkriki, Gaoju Yagira's physique is not bad, but because of the difference in tonnage and size, it is still quite difficult for him to block it. Especially when the iron rod in Yagira Goji's hand collided with the replica of Samehada, the Mizukage could clearly feel that the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon's strength was more than one level higher than before. Almost in an instant, Yagira Goji flew backwards and smashed the wall behind him. The sound of swooshing rang out at the same time. This was the Mizukage's office. There were naturally no shortage of Anbu and guards lurking in the dark. Soon, a group of Anbu surrounded several people. Hancock, wearing a mask, put one hand on his waist, fearless. Vegapunk also looked very calm. As for the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon, he went directly after Yagira Goji after a move, and several Anbu didn't stop him. Looking around, Kisame opened his mouth slightly, not knowing what to say. Why was it so sudden? Although he had some feelings a long time ago, his boss's actions were too sudden, right? Without a plan, he just went hard. The key is that the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon might not be able to beat the Mizukage, right? Yagira Kuji was able to hold on to his position as Mizukage despite his perverse behavior. His strength was naturally imaginable. Various assassinations basically occurred once or twice every year, and the strength of the attackers was no less than that of a Jonin. Zigguration Puffer Ghost was much stronger than the average Jonin, but Kisame still had no confidence in his superior. As for Zigguration Puffer Ghost's claim that the Mizukage was under an illusion, Kisame naturally did not believe it at all. First, Yagira Kuji was a perfect Jinkriki, and everyone who knew about Jinkriki's resistance to illusions knew it. Second, there were quite a few ninjas who wanted to assassinate Yagira Kuji over the years, and all kinds of messy excuses had been used before, such as the excuse of being under an illusion. On the contrary, Kisame thought that it was more likely that Zigguration Puffer Ghost was under an illusion. His eyes wandered around Vegapunk and Hancock, and he was undecided for a while. Roar. An angry roar suddenly sounded, and the faces of Kisame and those Anbu ninjas of the Mist Village changed at the same time. The Jinkriki is released. Is Lord Mizukage crazy? This is the center of the Mist Village. Kisame said in disbelief. Although the faces of the other Anbu were blocked by masks, their panic and hesitation could be seen from their actions. Why is the Jinkriki called the ultimate weapon of the ninja village? You know, there are many ninjas who are stronger than the tailed beasts in terms of combat power. Except for the 8-tailed and 9-tailed, the other tailed beasts are just a little tricky opponents for the shadow of a village. There are really few that cannot be defeated. But in terms of pure destructive power and damage to weak ninjas, the tailed beasts can be said to be the best in the ninja world. Even as strong as the 3rd generation Raikage, he would still be surrounded and killed by tens of thousands of rock ninjas. If it were a tailed beast, there would be no strong people who could suppress it, or targeted sealing techniques. Even if there were several times more rock ninjas, they could be easily swept away. Apart from other things, the 3-tailed beast in Yagira Kuji is already weak enough among the tailed beasts, but if it gets out of control, it will be easy to destroy half of the Mist Village, and kill thousands of Mist ninjas. The terrifying and ominous chakra spread from the direction of Zigguration Puffer Demon and Yagira Kuji. In an instant, the entire Mist Ninja seemed to explode. A large number of ninjas came out from nowhere. Some ran in this direction, and some simply fled outside the village. The huge chakra outlined a shape in the void, and a turtle-like monster with a height of several tens of meters and 3 tails finally took shape. The violent chakra was like a storm, blowing a group of Anbu back one after another. Only Vegapunk and the other two still stood firmly. Kisame's face was so ugly that his original shark face had almost turned blue-black. The Anbu next to him also stopped breathing, and a heavy atmosphere spread in the air. The first to arrive here was a girl with long brown hair and green eyes, and a one-eyed dragon who covered one eye with a sealing eye patch. The two were completely stunned when they arrived here, raised their heads, and looked into the eyes of the 3 tails. Not only them, many Miss Ninjas looked up at the three tails and were all stunned, as if they had seen something unbelievable. The three tails, which is dozens of meters tall, has only one eye, and because of its shell, it is difficult to see from most angles. However, ninjas basically have amazing five senses, and their vision is much better than that of ordinary people. Naturally, many people saw the blood red eye of the three tails. The eyes of the three tails are originally blood red, which is not surprising, but the megatoma in that eye made everyone's face change. That's the Sharingan. Kisame was the first to come to his senses, shouting, "It's the Sharingan of the Konoharachi clan. Mizuki-sama. Kiratachi Yagura is indeed being controlled by someone." Kisame's shout seemed to have awakened something, and the entire Mist Village was in chaos for a while. Many Mist Ninjas' eyes turned blood red, and they rushed directly towards the three tails. The resentment of the entire Mist Village that had been oppressed for a long time finally had a target to release. In an instant, countless ninjutsu were directly thrown at the three tails. Roar. The three tails roared angrily, and the three tails kept rolling, completely blocking those wind and water jutsu, and at the same time smashed to death more than a dozen Mist Ninjas who rushed too fast. Afterwards, the tail beast seemed to be crazy, and it opened its mouth and sprayed a large number of water bombs, rumbling and smashing a large area of the building. "We can't go on like this." The girl with long brown hair gritted her teeth and raised a triple wall of earth flow, desperately blocking the water bullets, sweat dripping from her forehead. "The losses are too great, and it's all in vain. If we don't organize everyone, there's no way to stop the three tails." Chapter 40. The outbreak of the pufferfish ghost at Watermelon Mountain. Roar, roar, roar. Amid the roars of the three tails, a small black ball appeared in front of its mouth. The chaotic chakra spun rapidly inside the small ball, causing the entire black ball to expand rapidly. What a terrible chakra. Oh no, it's the tailed beast ball. The one-eyed dragon following the brown-haired girl pushed away his eye patch, revealing a white eye, and shouted after just one look, "I can see it," the girl said unhappily, with an ashing expression on her face dripping with cold sweat. "Damn it. It's too late." Water style, Great Samadin Jutsu. At this time, Kisame immediately formed a seal and attacked. Although the pre-casting swing was slightly longer, Kisame's own water style ninjutsu and chakra volume were among the best in the entire Mist Village, and he could even be called the current #1 water style ninjutsu in the Mist Village. But even so, Kisame had no idea whether he could block the tail beast ball. After all, he was not in his strongest state in more than 10 years. After all, although he looked mature, he was actually only a teenager now. Boom. With a loud noise, the three-tailed beast, which was originally condensing the tail beast ball, suddenly swallowed the black chakra. When it raised its head to prepare to spit out energy, a big knife hit its chin directly, causing its tail beast ball to blast directly into the sky. The subsequent water style, the Great Shark Bullet technique, hit the three-tailed beast's neck directly, almost turning the big turtle upside down. It was not easy for the three-tailed beast to stabilize. However, a lot of cracks appeared on its shell, and chakra energy like blood flowed out. This immediately boosted the morale of all the ninjas in the Mist Ninja, and they looked at Kisame differently. The brown-haired girl also looked at Kisame for the first time, the follower of the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon. "I didn't expect this guy to be so strong." Then she clicked her tongue again. "What a pity, he is so ugly." The middle-aged one-eyed man standing next to him twitched his mouth. "Now is not the time to talk about this. Terumi Mei, we have to find a way to do something, otherwise." "Don't worry, King, I think the three-tail is no longer a problem." The girl named Terumi Mei shook her head, with a bit of relief on her face. Hearing her words, King turned his head and immediately saw a shocking scene. A nearly 10-meter tall, square giant soared into the sky at this moment, clenched his fists, and smashed the three-tail on the head fiercely, smashing its head and bleeding, and roaring. What kind of monster is that?" King gasped and looked carefully. At this moment, Kisame, who took 2 deep breaths, said, "Is that Fugu-sama?" "Fugu-sama?" King said in a daze. Looking carefully, he saw orange hair, a mouth full of sharp teeth, and a slightly rounded figure. He was indeed somewhat similar to Fugu-sama, but other than that, there was no similarity between the two. The large nostrils, square face, silver gray skin, white belly, and mouth that occupied the entire face made him look like a whale that had become a spirit. He was not human at all. I've never heard that Fugu-sama had learned the ninjutsu of the Akimichi family. King muttered, rolling his eyes, and this guy's body structure has completely changed. Does Fugu-sama have the blood of a fish demon? Fugu-sama certainly did not have the blood of a fish demon. He had just undergone a transformation from a summoned beast whale. After the transformation, the pufferfish ghost not only had its chakra increased several times, but also had its own strength greatly increased. After the transformation, its strength and physique were comparable to those of giant summoned beasts. In addition, the quantum brain receiver also played a significant role. Of course, the main function of this thing is to control others, but its powerful computing power is enough to greatly increase the speed of a person's brain operation, and the controllability of the body and chakra has reached a subtle level. If it were in the world of pirates, it would be a direct return of life. In the world of Naruto, people have different physiques, but they can also integrate the whole body's strength and exert 200% to 300% of their strength. Such a large amount of strength addition is enough for the watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost to fight the tailed beasts directly, and except for the 8-tailed and 9-tailed beasts, other tailed beasts may not be able to beat him. This is still a short time. Zigguration puffer ghost has not learned many new ninjutsu. With the quantum brain receiver, the combination of the subtle chakra control ability and the super brain is enough for Zigguration puffer ghost to easily learn more than 90% of the secrets of the Mist Village, greatly increasing his strength. At that time, he can become a top-ranked strongman even among the shadows. Even now, Zigguration puffer ghost has fought back and forth with the 3-tailed beast and gradually gained the upper hand. After all, the body structure of the 3-tailed beast has already determined that it is not a type that can fight. The most important thing is that as the battle progresses, Goji Yagura has also vaguely shown some signs of waking up from the illusion. Although the illusion ability of the Sharingan is powerful, it is impossible to control a perfect Jinkriki all the time. Uchiha Obito's main Jiki Sharingan can't be compared to the other gods. All along, Uchiha Obito has relied on the ability of Kamu to sneak in and give Goji Yagura illusions for a long time, which has been able to control the water shadow all the time. But the chakra flow caused by the fierce battle will also greatly shorten the effect time of the illusion. Moreover, the sudden change of Yagura Gojiri was also caused by Vegapunk. Uchiha Obito doesn't seem to be here. Vegapunk was a little distracted while watching the fierce battle between the two sides. The reason why Yagura Gojiri was so easily exposed to the fact that he was controlled was because the watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost used the mind jammer newly invented by Vegapunk. The ability to develop quantum chips also shows that Vegapunk has devoted his greatest energy to the research on the brain. In addition, he has developed the ability of mental power from the brain fruit and knows a lot about mental power. After obtaining the research tool of chakra, it is easy to make a mental jammer specifically used to interfere with illusions. Of course, the time was too short and Vegapunk didn't put much effort into it. The mental jammer he made was not only disposable, but also only interfered, rather than removing illusions such as mental control. The principle of that thing is almost to hit the opponent's mind with a stick directly. Whether or not he is in an illusion, he will make the opponent fall into a rampage. However, in this case, those sophisticated illusions are naturally easier to be destroyed. Chapter 41 The fourth Mizukage takes office. As the watermelon mountain puffer ghost punched the three tails head again, the Sharingan symbol in the big turtle's one eye finally disappeared without a trace, and Goji Yagura's consciousness had returned to normal. Afterwards, the originally huge-tailed beast continued to shrink, and finally revealed the figure of the Mizukage. His eyes were a bit tired and haggard, and the whole person leaned against a big rock behind him, half paralyzed and half sitting to support his body. Although he barely broke free from the illusion, Goji Yagura also consumed a lot of physical and mental energy. Now he still looks listless. Of course, a large part of the reason is the mental blow, which makes the 4th generation Mizukage feel a bit on the verge of collapse. Ahem. Puffer Ghost. You did a good job. Goji Yagura, with blood oozing from the corners of his mouth, looked at the watermelon mountain puffer ghost who had retracted his transformation, and his voice and eyes were slightly gentler. Thank you so much for pulling me out of that nightmare and saving the mist village from the edge of the cliff. Mizuki-sama, who exactly used the illusion on you? Zigguration Puffer Ghost frowned and asked immediately. The mist ninjas who rushed over also had the same question, holding their breath and looking serious. Although they had seen the symbol of the Sharingan, some things were more convincing when spoken by the person involved, Yagura Kujitachi. Yagura Kujitachi had a wry smile on his face. To be honest, I haven't seen his true appearance. I only know that he is an Uchiha who is proficient in time and space ninjutsu, wears a whirlpool mask, and has a Mangeki Sharingan. The mist ninjas present all looked a little ugly. The shadow of a village was controlled, and not only did no one notice it, but even the true identity of the manipulator could not be confirmed. This was like a big slap in the face, slapping the faces of the mist ninjas. No matter what, this matter should be related to Konoha. King gritted his teeth and said, Konoha must pay the price. That's right. Damn Konoha ninjas. This is all their conspiracy. This is a provocation. We must not let Konoha go. The mist ninjas were all filled with righteous indignation. They were already under high pressure in the Blood Mist village, and their nerves were tense. In addition, they had suffered the damage caused by the rampage of the tailed beasts and the humiliation brought by the control of the Mizuki. Most importantly, they felt that they had finally found the source of the Blood Mist policy, and naturally vented their anger towards Konoha. Enough. Kiruji Yagura waved his hand. As the Mizuki, although everyone knew that he would not be in office for long, at least now, he still had some face among the mist ninjas, and those ninjas also quieted down. Konoha will have to settle accounts with them sooner or later, but there are more important things to do now, that is, to adjust the Blood Mist policy, and decide who will be the next Mizuki. As soon as Kuji Yagura finished speaking, the surroundings suddenly fell silent. The mist ninjas looked at each other for a while, and finally their eyes were focused on Zigguration Puffer Ghost. At this time, Kisame and Meditarumi have not yet fully grown up, and the extremely talented Manzuki Hazuki is even younger. Ao is just an auxiliary ninja with mediocre combat power. In terms of age and prestige in the entire Mist Ninja village, Zigguration Puffer Ghost is really the first person under the Mizuki. In the past, the experience of the 7 swordsmen of the Mist Ninjas in the Land of Fire was a huge stain, and secondly and most importantly, Zigguration Puffer Ghost's strength was not a small distance from the cage level. Unless there was really no other way, the position of Mizuki would never fall on him. But this time is different. Being able to fight the tailed beast alone, to some extent, this already shows the qualifications of the cage. Except for Konoha and Iwagakure, the other 3 major ninja villages cannot bypass the tailed beast if they want to become cage. The 3rd Raikage once suppressed the 8 tails, the 4th Raikage and the Jinkriki are brothers, and Gara of the Sand Village is the son of the Wind Shadow. Similarly, only the Wind Shadow can suppress the tailed beast when it goes berserk. The Mist Village is more direct. The Jinkriki and the Mizuki are simply the same person. It can be said that, whether or not to suppress the tailed beast can be regarded as the qualification for them to become cage. The reason for Konoha is that the 9 tails is too super, and except for the first generation, no one else can suppress it. The first 2 Jinkriki are also the wives of the Hokage. As for the Iwagakure, Anoka's ninjutsu is not suitable for suppressing the tailed beast, and his relationship with the Jinkriki is not very good, so it has become a negative example. The Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon's performance in this wave has indeed amazed everyone, revealing the conspiracy of the Mizuki being controlled, and directly showing the power to compete with the tailed beast. At the same time, whether from the merit or from the strength, he is also the only candidate for the Mizuki. Glancing at the eyes of the Mist Village ninja, Yagura Kuji felt mixed emotions, but he was also a decisive person. He reached out and touched his head, feeling empty. Then he remembered that the Mizuki hat on his head had been thrown away somewhere during the battle. Fortunately, he was not a person who stuck to formalities. He first tried to stand up, and then put the iron rod in his hand on the shoulder of Zigguration Puffer Ghost. Zigguration Puffer Ghost, the position of the 4th Mizuki is handed over to you. The handover of the Mizuki position was very smooth. Regardless of whether Yagura Kuji was controlled or not, it was an indisputable fact that he had launched the Blood Mist policy. Moreover, as the shadow of a village, being directly controlled by the opponent with illusions, was disqualified in itself. If he was allowed to sit in the position of Mizukichi, what if he was controlled by others with illusions again? Prestige is difficult to establish, but it is very easy to break it. Once trust collapses, even the Mizukichi can only step down sadly, and there is no room for redemption. Zigguration Puffer Ghost ascended to the position of Mizukichi without much fanfare. First, the Mist Ninja and Konoha are different. The harm of the Blood Mist policy is not so easy to clean up at once, and the cold character of the Mist Ninja cannot be changed all at once. Secondly, this is not a glorious thing. The third Mizukichi was controlled, and the tailed beasts were rampant in the village, which eventually led to the fourth Mizukichi going into battle. If it were to be told to others, it would easily make other big ninja villages laugh. Basically, he just put on the hat, discussed with the senior officials of the Mist Ninja village and the patriarchs of several families, and then convened a ninja meeting, and kept all the jonin for a small meeting, and the matter was settled. The first thing Zigguration Puffer Ghost did, after becoming the Mizukichi, was not to seek revenge on Konoha, but to slowly change the Blood Mist policy of the Mist Ninja village. The Blood Mist policy does not only refer to the fighting between the Mist Ninja graduates, but also includes a series of cruel policies. For example, Kisame will kill all the Mist Ninja who may be captured, and the Mist Ninja who fails in the mission will almost certainly die. All these aspects reveal bloody clauses, and only when added together can it be considered a complete Blood Mist policy. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42, Gaining a Firm Foothold. The change of the Blood Mist policy is not a short-lived one. Although this policy is very cruel, it must be said that it is precisely because of its cruelty that the ninjas of the Mist Ninja have been tempered and maintained a high degree of elitism and militarization. If the Blood Mist policy is purely internal consumption, then even if the Mizukichi insists on his own way, it will definitely not be implemented. It is precisely because some aspects of this policy do work that the Mist Ninja village will really start to implement it. It's just that the Blood Mist policy is originally a tightrope walk. Abato, who manipulates the Mizukichi, is full of hatred for the Mist Ninja village. Instead of maintaining balance, he desperately pushed a few times, which naturally made the Mist Ninja village very hard. By the later stage, it was difficult to turn back the accumulated situation, and with the Mizukichi of Goji Yagura constantly adding trouble, it was already very difficult for those knowledgeable people in the Mist Ninja village to change. This time, the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost was also because of the exposure of the illusion of Goji Yagura, which was manipulated by illusion. This is a great opportunity, which can easily start the entire Blood Mist policy. Otherwise, even if he becomes a new generation of Mizukichi, it is not easy to change. The first thing that Zigguration Puffer Ghost did after becoming the Water Shadow was to ease the relationship between the village and the Bloodline family. In terms of bloodline inheritance, the Mist Village, which has the Snow Clan, the Kaguya Clan, and the Hazuki Clan, is second only to Konoha in terms of its foundation. If it weren't for Obito's messing around, the Mist Village would never have ended up at the bottom of the 5 major ninja villages. However, even if the Snow Clan was not completely exterminated, they were scattered all over the water country, hiding their identities, and not daring to show their heads. As for the Kaguya Clan, the brain structure of those guys is different from that of ordinary ninjas. One or two of them are more crazy than Uchiha. Uchiha is just paranoid, but these guys are manic patients, and have no intention of reconciliation. Only the Hazuki clan has the closest connection with the Mist Ninja, because they have produced the Water Shadow. Now they are just being excluded. After Zigguration Puffer Ghost showed his intention to reconcile, and allocated some rights to the Hazuki clan, the Hazuki clan quickly returned, as soon as it appeared. In the original plot, there was only one person left in the Kazuki clan, Kizuki, and the Mist Ninja only implemented a policy of weakening and suppressing them, and did not really implement any genocide plan. This is because the number of people in the Kazuki clan was not large, even less than 3 digits. Dozens of Kizuki clan ninjas have little impact on the distribution of interests in the Mist Ninja village, so naturally there is no resistance to their return. For the time being, it will take some time for the Mist Ninja to change, and there are still many problems to be solved. No big effect can be seen in a short time, but even so, the atmosphere of the entire Mist Ninja has begun to change. The ninjas walking on the street gradually stopped coming and going in a hurry. In addition to some necessary food, clothing, housing and transportation shops, several new shops appeared in the Mist Ninja village, and some small families returned to the Mist Ninja village, and the entire Mist Ninja village began to change in a good direction. After being busy for nearly half a month, the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost finally sorted out all the things in the Mist Ninja village, and also adjusted the high-level structure of the Mist Ninja. Although Yagura Kyujitsu is not the village chief of the Mist village, he is at least a Jinkriki, and a position has been reserved for him in the upper echelons, which is almost close to the advisor of the Hokage of Konoha. In other words, he can make some suggestions. If the Mizukage is weak, he still has some say, but if the Mizukage is strong, he is just a decoration. Because of the mistakes he made in the past, Yagura Kyujitsu basically said nothing about the actions of Zigguration Puffer Demon, which was worry-free. In addition, Kisame, the confidant of Zigguration Puffer Demon, has now become a member of the Shadow Guard, and it is obvious that he needs to be trained intensively. Of course, Kisame's brain basically bids farewell to the position of Shadow, and he is competent as the strongest toolman such as the Minister of Anbu. The most important reason why Zigguration Puffer Demon uses him is because this guy not only has the spirit of a ninja, but also has strong strength. Meditarumi also got the position of the leader of the Jonin squad, and King became the leader of the reconnaissance squad. Basically, these emerging rookies also began to step into the upper echelons, and at the same time, they had a team of subordinates. Zigguration Puffer Ghost also initially gained a foothold in the position of Mizukage. In a large office inside the Mizukage building, all the Jonin of the Mist Ninja gathered here at the moment. Another meeting. What tasks are they going to assign this time? Are they going to go to war with Konoha? Maybe they are going to deal with the bone spirits of the Kaguya clan. Those guys jumped the hardest during the Blood Mist policy, and I don't know how many compatriots they killed. The fourth generation was magnanimous, and did not pursue their problems, but they dared to take advantage of him? In the office, Meditarumi was touching up her macup with a small mirror, while listening to the discussions of the people around her, and finally shook her head. You think too much. The Kaguya clan also belongs to the Mist Ninja. If they don't have obvious rebellious behavior, the current Mizukage will not take action against them. As for dealing with Konoha, the matter is even bigger. At least we have to wait until we sign a truce agreement with the Sand Ninja village. It is impossible to hastily fight on two fronts now. Yes, the Mist Ninja and the Sand Ninja are still in a state of hostility and have not signed a truce agreement. Of course, in fact, the scale of the battle between the two sides is already very small. After all, the actual Ninja World War has really ceased, and this situation can only be regarded as a regional conflict. Just like the current Konoha and Cloud Ninja have not signed a truce agreement, but there are also only small-scale ninja conflicts. But a small-scale armed conflict may also turn into a full-scale ninja village war, especially when the opposite ninja village reveals a flaw. Once the Mist Ninja wants to go against Konoha at this time, it is hard to say whether the Sand Ninja village will seize this opportunity and give the Mist Ninja village a hard time. The Sand village can't hold on any longer. Do you remember the request we made that time? The Kazakage of the Sand village has agreed. A ninja with scars all over his face sneered and said, "What conditions?" Meditarumi was stunned for a moment, and then reacted all of a sudden. Yi Kang. Is the Sand village crazy? Even the strongest person in their own village, who is second only to the Kazakage, has to be sacrificed. You also said that he was the strongest person second only to the Kazakage. I heard that the fourth Kazakage took the position because he was the disciple of the third Kazakage, and there were many political factors. In fact, it's hard to say whether the Kazakage can beat Yi Kang, the Scorch Release user. In this case, why did the Kazakage make such a choice? Is there any need to explain? The scarred ninja grinned and explained with a smile. Chapter 43 Appearance. This Kazakage of the Sand village is such a jerk. Meditarumi sneered with an unchanging expression. Female ninjas are a vulnerable group in the ninja world. There are not many strong ones, and even fewer who can reach the top. As a female ninja of the same type, Mediterumi naturally has some feelings of sympathy. Of course, with different positions, Mediterumi will not delay the plan of the Mist Village because of this mood. At most, she will curse the fourth Kazakage in her heart for being stupid and not tolerant. At this time, the door of the conference room opened, and Zigguration Buffer Ghost walked in with 3 people behind him. One of them was Kisame, who had always been with Zigguration Buffer Ghost as his guard and confidant. As for the remaining 2, Mediterumi had seen them before. They were a man and a woman who came to the Mist Village with Zigguration Buffer Ghost. The identities of these 2 people are not Miss Ninjas. Some people suspect that they are the subordinates of Zigguration Buffer Ghost who developed outside. However, Zigguration Buffer Ghost later became the Mizukage, so naturally no one investigated the identities of these 2 people. Mediterumi's eyes swept across the bodies of Zigguration Pufferfish and Kisame, and stared at the blonde boy. Her face flushed. What a handsome boy, much better than these ugly guys in our ninja village. There were not many good-looking male ninjas in the Mist Village, and they often had sharp teeth, plus a cold and bloody aura, which was naturally far from the blonde boy in front of her. The blonde boy was naturally Vegapunk, and his body was made with the genes of the white horse Cavendish as the main body, and Cavendish was the most handsome man in the pirate world. Although there were many ugly guys in the pirate world, which lowered the average level, they were even better in terms of the highest level of appearance. But soon, Mediterumi felt a murderous aura piercing her brows, and she turned her head slightly, and saw the tall woman who had been standing next to the blonde boy staring at her coldly. Even through the mask, there was a terrible murderous aura coming from her. The tall woman's figure was very seductive. Even with a mask, she still revealed a sense of style, and immediately made Zaimoi feel that she had encountered an opponent. When she came, she seemed to be violent. For these movements, there was no response to these ninja on the scene. There were a few ninjas and even a little bit of nausety. I didn't dare to ridicule in person. The tall woman with a mask was naturally Boa Hancock. If she really lost her temper, Mediterumi would be a pile of rubble. Even if all the people in the Mizukage's office were added together, they probably couldn't stop Hancock. Okay, there are a lot of things going on in our ninja village now, so I'll make it short. There are 3 things in this meeting. First, let me introduce Dr. Vegapunk. Dr. Vegapunk is the special envoy of the daimyo of the Land of Water. He is related to the daimyo, and is also the heir of the Land of the Sea. As soon as these words came out, the ninjas looked at each other. They didn't think there was any confusion. Although the ninja villages were in chaos, it was very normal for daimyo of various countries to intermarry. The Land of Water and the Land of the Sea even shared ninja villages, so naturally they would intermarry. Liking to call himself a doctor is not a problem. But can those daimyo give birth to such a handsome guy? A group of ninjas always felt that the daimyo of the Land of the Sea might have some color on his hat. Of course, Vegapunk had nothing to do with those daimyo, but that didn't stop him from using the names of these daimyo. He certainly had nothing to do during this period of time. He even controlled the Mist Village. In this case, the daimyo of the Land of Water was completely defenseless against him. After a set of procedures, the daimyo of the Land of Water and several high-ranking nobles were all replaced with clones. With these people's endorsement, it was easy to replace him with a special envoy of the Land of Water and the identity of the heir of the daimyo of the Land of the Sea. If it weren't for the fact that the Mist Village and the daimyo's mansion had some contact, and knew what the heir of the daimyo of the Land of Water looked like, he would have directly become the co-heir of the Land of Water and the Land of the Sea. At the same time, the original attitude of these ninjas has also changed. After all, this is also a member of the Gold Owner. The ninja villages fight each other, but they all respond with a kind attitude to the daimyo and those nobles. Originally, I thought that this blonde boy might be a subordinate of the Puffer Ghost, but now it seems that he might be a supporter of the Puffer Ghost. Otherwise, how could the Puffer Ghost have so many changes after going to the Land of the Sea? As for this lady, she is Dr. Vegapunk's bodyguard. You can call her Boa Hancock. Humph. My name is not something that can be called by just anyone. Hancock took off her mask and said meaningfully, staring at Mediterumi. Although there was a group mockery at the beginning, most of the Mist Ninjas did not get angry. Instead, they stared at Hancock with a bit of obsession. After a while, they came back to their senses and showed a bit of fear on their faces. A group of people's faces turned pale and blue, and the chakra in their bodies was rioting. The corners of the mouths of a few people were still slightly red. These people regarded Hancock's charm as some kind of illusion, and were using chakra to remove the illusion. Unfortunately, all the actions were in vain in the end, making most of the Jonin look a little embarrassed. They thought that Meditarumi was stupid for being crazy about handsome guys before, but this time they were collectively broken by Hancock, which was extremely embarrassing. Fortunately, these people are determined, and the pain caused by the chakra riot also makes them concentrate. When they look at Hancock with preparation, they will not be so obsessed. Terumi Medi did not fall into the state of infatuation. First, even if Hancock's charm can kill both men and women, as a woman, the impact will be slightly smaller. Second, Terumi Medi's strength is also the best among all the Jonin, and her resistance is naturally the strongest. So she was just shocked by Hancock's beauty, but she didn't have any obsession. Chapter 44. Eye-opening. Although Meditarumi was not deceived by Hancock's charm, she was gritting her teeth, and in a bad mood. After all, she was crushed by someone in terms of female charm. It would be strange if she could be in a good mood. Seeing Meditarumi's frustrated look, Hancock immediately raised her head proudly, like a victorious little peacock. Zigwish and Puffer Ghost also ignored the performance of the ninjas below, and then said, "This is the first thing I want to tell you, and then the second thing. After consultations between the daimyos, both sides hope that we can merge peacefully with the sea village and become a new ninja village." As soon as this heavy news came out, there was chaos below, and all the ninjas didn't care about anything else and hurriedly asked, "Is this true, Lord Mizukichi? Why should those guys from the sea village be on par with our mist village? Just a bunch of wandering ninjas gathered together? It's ridiculous. Merge. Which one will be the main one after the merger? Who will be the new cage? What should the top leaders of the other ninja village do? It's okay to merge. After all, there are still 1 or 2,000 ninjas to supplement our current strength. After so many years of implementing the blood mist policy, our grassroots have also suffered heavy losses. However, the mist village must be the main one. After the merger, what about the operating funds of the ninja village? And how to manage the task allocation? Enough. Zigwish and Puffer Ghost suddenly spoke, immediately suppressing the voices below, and then he pointed his finger at Vegapunk. "Drive, Vegapunk. It's up to you to explain to these ninjas below." Vegapunk smiled. "Leave it to me, but before that, let's go to the training ground and let the senior ninjas open their eyes and gain some knowledge." At the edge of the training ground, the faces of the senior ninjas who came over were somewhat ugly. The experience of any senior ninja was legendary enough, and being treated as a frog in a well was naturally not a happy thing. It was because of Vegapunk's identity that the senior ninjas couldn't say anything, but they had already made up their minds. If Vegapunk didn't have any real material to impress them, they would not think about merging the ninja village. The status of the daimyo was indeed higher than that of the ninja village leader to a certain extent, but this balance was very fragile. The ninja village that mastered the strongest violence was the one that had a real right to overturn the table, so the daimyo could not really ignore the opinions of the ninja village. After the ninjas came to the training ground, they saw dozens of unfamiliar ninjas. These ninjas had tender faces and short statures. They looked like ninja students who had just graduated. They wore a forehead protector with 3 horizontal wavy lines on their heads. These senior ninjas were well informed and knew that this was the forehead protector of the newly established Sea Ninja Village. To be honest, Vegapunk actually wanted to use a skull pattern as a forehead protector for the ninja village. After all, it came from the pirate world. But in the end, the matter was abandoned due to the unanimous opposition of the ninjas below. With the green light from the Mizukichi, it is not difficult to let these little ninjas from the sea village enter the mist village. What is this for? Dr. Vegapunk, are you going to let us see the strength of the sea village genin and use it to intimidate us? A mist ninja Jonin said with some amusement, but suddenly felt his arm being grabbed. He turned his head and saw King, who was observing with his Byakugan with bulging veins. "What's wrong, King? Are there any problems with those little ghosts?" King's lips trembled. The chakra of these little ghosts is already very close to our level. Blinking his eyes, the Mist Ninja Jonin looked as if he didn't hear clearly. What did you say? Did you see it wrong? Do you think I saw it wrong? King turned his head and pointed at his own white eyes. The chakra of those little ghosts is definitely close to, or even reached the level of Jonin. Hearing King's roar, all the Jonin's faces changed, and many of them took a breath, and their eyes looking at those young men all changed. Although the amount of chakra is not the only factor that determines the strength of a ninja, it is definitely the most important factor in determining the strength of a ninja. A ninja with a large amount of chakra, even if he only learns a few 5-element escape techniques, is enough to play a role that is almost like a turret. Having Jonin level chakra does not necessarily make you a Jonin, but at least if you want to become a Jonin, having Jonin level chakra has crossed the biggest threshold. Especially these teenagers, who are only at the age of graduating from the ninja school, will continue to increase their chakra volume in the next 10 or 20 years. As long as other aspects are not too bad, becoming a Jonin is a sure thing. This kind of little ninja is a so-called genius in the Mist Village. Although geniuses are not valuable in the ninja world, there are only 2 or 3 of them every year. If there are 40 or 50 genius ninjas of this level at once, have all the people in the Sea Village eaten Jinkelar? Vegapunk glanced at King, but he didn't expect to be seen through at the beginning. He wanted to try the standard routine of pretending to be tough and slapping in the face. These little ninjas are the products of Vegapunk's initial strengthening experiments. First, they were transformed and had animal type abilities, and then they developed most of their physical potential through the training cabin. In terms of chakra volume, they are close to the level of Jonin, and their physical fitness can also compete with some Chunin who are proficient in physical skills, or special Jonin. After the animal type transformation, they have physical skills that are close to the level of Jonin. Okay, all the Jonins of the Mist Ninja, please take a look at the latest technological inventions of our Sea Ninja Village. As soon as Vegapunk finished speaking, he looked at the little ninjas. Show your strength to these Jonins of the big ninja villages. The faces of a group of little ninjas were extremely excited. These were all the young ninjas of the Sea Ninja Village. After all, the establishment of the Sea Ninja was less than a year ago, and there was no ninja school system to train ninjas. These little ninjas were all young ninjas from the original ninja organizations, and of course there were not too many of them. Not only were there not many in number, but the quality was also uneven. The ninjas trained by that small organization might have some unique skills in a certain aspect, but they were often much worse in basic strength. After all, there was no organization like to abduct child geniuses like Orochimaru. Therefore, these little ninjas used to have a bit of inferiority complex when facing other big ninja village ninjas. It was not until they were strengthened by Vegapunk that they felt their own skyrocketing strength, and their self-confidence immediately swelled. Now when they see those Mist Ninjas, their faces are full of eager expressions. Chapter 45 Powerful Transformation Technology. With the roars and strange cries, the bodies of the young ninjas underwent drastic changes, and they turned into half-human, half-animal states. At the same time, their auras also expanded rapidly, reaching a level that made all the Mist Ninjas feel dangerous. They were not afraid of 1 or 2 young ninjas, but if there were 3, 5, 7, or 8 of them, even the Jonins would probably be overturned. How about it? Do you want to go up and try? Vegapunk looked at the Mist Ninjas and smiled. Then let me try. The first one to come out was a ninja named King. Although he was an auxiliary ninja, King's own strength was worthy of his Jonin level. The most important thing was that with his Byakugan, he could better understand the strength of these young ninjas. It was impossible for the Sea Ninja Village to have so many geniuses. Even if all the ninjas of the same age in all the ninja villages were added together, it was unclear whether they could get 50 people. Thinking of the latest technology that Vegapunk wanted to show them, and looking at the changes in these little ninjas, all the Mist Ninjas could guess that these little ninjas had obviously been specially enhanced. This was probably the trump card that Vegapunk took out to convince them. But is there any limit to this kind of enhancement? Will it damage the potential? Are there any sequelae? These Mist Ninjas don't know much about these, and therefore, King, who has the strongest observation ability, is naturally the best choice. King has other ideas in his mind. The transformation ability of these little ninjas reminds him of the transformation when the watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost and the Goji Yagura fought. Although the increase in power and the chakra intensity are very different, and even the changes in body shape are completely different. In King's eyes with the white eyes, this change in body structure can indeed be said to be in the same vein. If this is true, and if this transformation has no sequelae, King's heart is also faintly excited. If this is true, what does the merger of the two ninja villages count for? As long as the cake is big enough, everyone will have enough to eat. If the strength of all ninjas can be raised by one level, the Mist Village can sweep the entire ninja world, and even occupying the Land of Fire will not be a problem. King walked forward, and similarly, a ninja walked up from the opposite side, who looked like the strongest of all the young ninjas. After the transformation, this ninja was tall, and covered with white fur all over his body, looking like a huge human bear. Vegapunk just thought about it for a while, and remembered that this should be the use of white bear gene modification fluid, right? Gene modification fluids such as bears and apes have a strengthening effect on ninjas that is not inferior to some ferocious carnivorous animals, and have always been popular among all strengthening fluids. Because the limbs of this animal itself are very similar to those of humans, and the palms are also conducive to seals. Basically there is no need to change any fighting habits to exert all the strengthening effects. The two sides just glanced at each other and did not make any opposing seals, and they started fighting directly. Water escape, water dragon bullet, water escape, water rush wave. Apart from the ability of the Byakugan and the ability of perception, King is a standard Jonin with no shortcomings, and is most proficient in the water escape of the Mist Village. The ninja on the opposite side is thick-skinned and strong, and also knows a lot of water escape ninjutsu, but it is not as good as King. The two water escape ninjutsu collided with each other, and after a moment, the water dragon bullet crushed the water rush wave, forcing the white bear ninja to use a water flow wall to block it. After several water escape confrontations, the white bear ninja no longer used ninjutsu, but rushed forward directly, playing the advantage of his physical body, and wanted to fight King in close combat. King's figure flickered, and he had the Byakugan. Although he didn't know soft fist, his physical skills were obviously not bad. The physique of the ninja on the opposite side may be stronger than that of an average Jonin after the transformation, but he is not a real average Jonin. In terms of fighting skills, he is far better than the little ninja on the opposite side. If it weren't for the need to observe the various situations of the ninja on the opposite side, with King's strength, he could easily subdue the opponent in a few moves. But now, he was 70% defensive and 30% offensive, neither fast nor slow, slowly dealing with the opponent, so as to observe the opponent's body strength, muscle operation, internal organs operation, chakra flow, to see if there are any huge flaws or places to squeeze vitality. After dealing with it for more than 10 minutes, seeing that the white bear ninja on the opposite side was still full of energy and strong physical strength, King, who was a little tired, had to admit that the opponent's strength improvement was indeed an essential improvement. Without any reluctance, at least he couldn't see any problems with his white eyes. After reaching the conclusion, King naturally didn't hold back, mainly because he found that the ninja on the opposite side not only had long physical strength, but also had strong vitality and recovery ability, unlike humans. If he delayed for another 10 minutes, he might really be dragged down by the opponent. With a casual press on the opponent's shoulder, the young ninja on the opposite side felt a numbness on his shoulder, and his chakra was completely cut off. While the opponent's arm could not move, and the door was wide open, King slapped the opponent's chest with a palm, and the chakra penetrated the body and directly hit the young ninja's heart to stop beating and go into shock. Although he did not inherit the Hyuga family, King could still figure out some basic abilities of the Byakugan. The two moves just now were almost imitations of acupoint pressing and soft fists. Although they were just imitated moves, they could only be regarded as strange moves against truly experienced Jonins, and the effect was not great, but for the inexperienced young ninja, it was enough to decide the outcome. The young ninja just stopped beating, and went into shock for a while, and was soon taken away for emergency treatment. After winning, King took 2 steps back, took a few breaths, and looked at Vegapunk. "Can I pick a few opponents?" Vegapunk raised his eyebrows and said confidently, "Whatever, just test them all, I don't care." In fact, Vegapunk did not expect that these little ninjas could defeat the group of Jonins from the Mist Village who were soaked in the blood mist. The gap between the experience and skills between the two could not be made up by chakra and physique, not to mention that their chakra and physique were not stronger than the Jonin. His main purpose was just to let these Jonin see the potential of these little ninjas. He didn't believe that these Jonins would not be tempted by his skills. Although Vegapunk said so, King didn't dare to really fight a round robin battle with these little ninjas. He estimated that he would run out of energy if he fought 2 more. Even if he didn't waste any energy at the beginning, his limit was only 5 or 6 round robin battles. And it was just to test whether there was any problem with Vegapunk's modified technology. It would be enough to pick a few people to see. Chapter 46, Ninja Village Merger. After defeating another crocodile animal ability user, King took a few long breaths, shook his head, and retreated to the team. Facing the gazes of other Jonin, King shook his head slightly and whispered, "I don't see any problem, and Lord Mizukage, he should have been transformed." The watermelon mountain puffer ghost smiled and patted his chest. "Lucky, my transformation is not like these little ghosts without risk. Fortunately, compared with the risk, the improved strength is much stronger than these little ghosts." Hearing this, a group of Jonin's eyes lit up. Even ninjas at the level of Jonin can be strengthened? This is really good news. As for the danger, those who can become Jonin in the Mist Village know that not having strength is the biggest danger. Most of the time, you want to take risks to improve your strength, but you don't have that opportunity. Moreover, although the strength of those little ghosts is far less than that of the watermelon mountain puffer ghost, it is enough to produce a large number of Jonins. Although Jonins in Naruto comics seem to be nothing, in fact, any Jonin in any ninja village is an absolute elite pillar. It is a bit of an underestimation to say that they are 1 in 100 ninjas. The most special thing about Jonins is that they are almost not replicable. Genins and Chunins may be able to be cultivated in large quantities, but if you want to become a Jonin, if you don't have enough talent, no matter how much you cultivate, it will be in vain. Some Jonins are born with more chakra than ordinary people. Some Jonins are born with strong physiques and are geniuses in physical skills. Some Jonins learn from one thing and apply it to other things in ninjutsu learning. And some Jonins are simply members of secret arts families or bloodline families. Anyway, at least you have to have one thing that is beyond ordinary people. If you are really mediocre, being a Chunin in this life is already the limit. And talent is something that is very difficult to change. Even in the bloodline family, there are actually quite a few ninjas who can never awaken the blood and can only be Chunin and Genin for their entire lives. From the beginning, chakra is not a power system like internal strength that can be cultivated over the years, and there is no specific method of cultivation. Because this thing itself is completely drug taking and abortion. The original Otsutsuki wanted to enhance chakra. The mainstream method was to plant trees, bury people and eat fruits. The secondary method was to directly train people into pills and the like. In theory, the chakra that everyone can extract has a limit since birth. And the practice of exercising, improving physical fitness, and feeding back chakra can only keep approaching the limit. Except for abortion and human body modification, there is no real way to increase the limit of one's own chakra in this world. Not to mention the way to truly increase the limit of one's own chakra. Even the ability to temporarily increase or store chakra can be called S-level ninjutsu, such as the 8 gates of Dunjia and the Yin Seal. However, human body modification in the Naruto world is still in a very rough state. Even Orochimaru, the first scientist, dare not say that he has any confidence. The Mist Village has not achieved any results. Now seeing the results of Vegapunk, these Mist ninjas are naturally ecstatic. Seeing the fanaticism in the eyes of these senior ninjas, Vegapunk knew that the time had come and gave an order to the watermelon mountain puffer ghost in his mind. The watermelon mountain puffer ghost waved his hand and said, "This is the third thing I want to say. The reason why the Sea Ninja Village was established is because of Dr. Vegapunk's science and technology, which greatly increased the strength of all the Sea Ninjas. As long as the 2 ninja villages merge, Dr. Vegapunk will also become the director of the research department of the Mist Ninja Village. A group of senior ninjas looked at each other. Although the original Mist Ninja Village did not have a research department, they knew what the research department did just from the name. Of course, the most important thing is that, if Vegapunk joined their own ninja village, wouldn't it mean that they can also enjoy Vegapunk's enhancement technology? At this point, these ninjas no longer had any resistance to the merger of the two ninja villages. Instead, they all bowed their heads in submission. All is up to Lord Mizukichi. Vegapunk also showed a smile on his face. This is why he wanted to get a noble identity. If Vegapunk showed this technology as a ninja, the first thought of these guys in the Mist Village would definitely not be cooperation, merger or something, but to find a way to control Vegapunk and torture him out of his technology. But if it was a daimyo or a noble, it would be completely different. After that, the various terms of the merger of the ninja villages were negotiated by Nico Robin, who came later. Of course, it was just a formality. After all, the leader at the opposite negotiating table was also Vegapunk's own people. As for power, Nico Robin was very indifferent. Yes, both the daimyo and the Mizukichi were on her side, and Vegapunk had mastered the core technology. The following details and corners, the Mist Village wanted to give them. But in the end, she still made a request that made the Mist Ninja feel a little speechless. That is, the name of the Mist Ninja Village must be changed to the Sea Ninja Village. The name of the Mist Ninja was earned by our ancestors with Kunean blood. I don't think it's a good idea to change the name to the Sea Ninja Village. This will greatly reduce the deterrence of our ninja village. Terumi Mei crossed her arms and looked at Nico Robin, who was smiling across from her, and argued with reason. A new era requires new development. Besides, the blood mist has a lot of negative effects besides deterrence. Nico Robin smiled indifferently and spoke clearly. What's more, the original Mist Ninja Village only occupied the water country. Although the other island countries on the sea have close ties with the Mist Ninja, they are not part of the real sphere of influence of the Mist Ninja Village after all. Now that all the ninjas from the maritime countries have formed an alliance, it is natural to use the name of the Sea Ninja Village, which has a wider scope. At the same time, it can also cleanse the inherent bad impression of other countries formed by the blood mist. Terumi Mei's chest rose and fell a few times. What is the bad impression of the blood mist? Isn't that too harsh? However, even Mei Terumi herself knew very well that the blood mist policy did make the Mist Village give a much worse impression to the outside world. Admittedly, this cruel system made the Mist Ninja mission completion rate much higher, but at the same time, the actions of many Mist Ninjas under high pressure often frightened their employers. Not to mention that the high mission completion rate is countered by the equally high employer mortality rate once the mission fails. After all, once a Mist Ninja fails and returns to the Mist Village, he will often be severely punished. In this case, many ninjas will simply choose to defect, and it is common to kill their employers before that to make a fortune. Chapter 47, The Birth of the Sea Ninja Village. Okay, it's just a name change, we agree to that. But changing the name to Sea Ninja Village will give the Sea Country a lot of advantages. It should be normal for the Sea Country to give us more funds. Zigwish and Puffer Ghost finally made the decision and spoke. After hearing this, the negotiators from the Mist Ninja stopped talking. The ninjas of the Mist Ninja pay more attention to practical interests and don't care much about the name. The original Blood Mist itself doesn't have a good name and centripetal force. If they can get a large amount of funds by changing the name, they are not unacceptable. If it's the Konoha Cloud Ninja, it would be extremely difficult to ask them to change their name. After a few days, the negotiations ended, and a shocking news quickly spread throughout the ninja world. All the countries on the sea formed the Ocean Alliance, with the Mist Ninja Village as the main body, and absorbed many small and medium-sized ninja organizations, to form a new ninja village, Sea Ninja Village. It was like a snowball. At the beginning, the Sea Ninja Village and the Mist Ninja Village together accounted for 70% to 80% of the entire maritime national power. After the two of them united, there was no need for Vegapunk to do anything. The other small ninja forces had already expressed their intention to join. For a period of time afterwards, Zigwish and Puffer Ghost was constantly sorting out these small ninja forces. Anyway, they had already united with the Sea Ninja, and even the name had been changed to Sea Ninja. It was also logical to absorb all the ninjas on the island. However, there were also good and bad among these small ninja organizations and wandering ninjas. There were also spies from other organizations and large ninja villages. The new Sea Ninja village could not take them all in at once. This kind of troublesome matter was naturally handed over to Ziggush and Pufferghost. Vegapunk at most supported him with 2 lie detectors. Anyway, with the foundation of the Mist Ninja village, it was difficult for ordinary spies to get in. As for the extraordinary spies, they could basically get in, whether they had the opportunity or not. Some trivial matters were handed over to others, and Vegapunk now plunged into the laboratory. The new Sea Ninja village has a much better foundation than the Snow Country and the Sea Country. It can be said that in the entire ninja world, as long as there are instruments on the market, they can be obtained. This naturally made Vegapunk very happy, and he began his new inventions. Coming to a new world and being exposed to the black technology system of chakra, Vegapunk's brain was full of inspiration and was about to explode. If it were not for the poor basic conditions and facilities and the short time, his inventions would have been enough to push the world flat. At least now there is no super shadow level in the world. Vegapunk can definitely push it easily. That is equivalent to the world of pirates without the strong of the 4 emperors. For Vegapunk, who was able to manufacture the Vice Emperor level combat machines at his peak, there is basically no resistance. Inside the latest laboratory of the Water Country, the original quantum brain finally released a part of the computing power under the large amount of energy supply. At this moment, it is emitting a faint light. Vegapunk is sitting in front of the computer screen and checking the data. The quantum brain also contains the intelligence data of Steel Sedraman, Machine Dragonman, Battle Greyman, and those ordinary robots. Unfortunately, there is no fusion reactor now. Even if their intelligence data is transferred out, their combat effectiveness cannot reach the original level. For combat machines like this, the 3 most important factors that determine the combat effectiveness are energy, materials, and artificial intelligence. The artificial intelligence data is still well preserved. The materials have lost the bonus of the swallow fruit chips on Fantasy Star and Future Island, but now Vegapunk's own awakened magnetic field and current abilities are also good at metal smelting, which can make up for it. The most important thing is energy. Without a nuclear fusion reactor, if you want to make the 3 combat machines reach their maximum output, you have to put a tail beast in, Although the combat effectiveness of the original 3 mechanical beasts has their own biases, their combat effectiveness is almost at the level of the Vice Emperor. Converted to this world, it is almost at the level of the 3rd generation Raikage, and the energy required is naturally not a small number. For the time being, let the ninjas and daimyo pay attention to whether there is any news about radioactive minerals. With the power of the thermal power plant alone, even the quantum brain can only use part of its functions. Vegapunk typed the word energy on the computer. This is the first problem he needs to solve now. The mechanical technology tree in this world is not easy to climb, but the biological technology tree is very easy. Chakra has a certain ability to suppress rejection reactions. But it's also true that, if the messy method of replacing eyes in the original plot were to be used in the real world, everyone would die. Perhaps in this world, it would be easier to create some artificial fantasy devil fruits, but to some extent, the transformation fluid made from the genes of those summoned beasts is already very close to the fantasy species. It would be even better if we could get the genes of those animal sages. It's a pity that Orochimaru is not very powerful. Not to mention the White Snake Sage. He can't even deal with the 3 snake girls. And there are blood limits, which are also very interesting. In addition to those blood limits inherited from the Otsutsuki, chakra fusion can also form new blood limits, and even pass them down. If someone can fuse the blood limits of water, fire, earth, wind, thunder, yin and yang into one, maybe it is really possible to evolve from humans into a life form like the Otsutsuki. This can also be regarded as a way of practicing chakra researched by Vegapunk. Of course, it's a possibility. According to Vegapunk's estimation, even with the computing power and chakra control ability of a quantum brain, it would take thousands of years to achieve this step. He really couldn't imagine how a normal human could achieve this step. The difficulty of each additional attribute of the bloodline limit increases exponentially. The difficulty of blood elimination is 10 times greater than the bloodline limit. If 4 attributes are used, the difficulty may exceed hundreds of times, and 5 attributes may be tens of thousands of times. Especially the 2 attributes of yin and yang, which are not much different from the 5 element. The difficulty of fusing them into yin and yang escape and 5 element is comparable. If the yin and yang and 5 element are combined and traced back to the level of Otsutsuki, it is an absolutely impossible task for humans. Excuse me, is Dr. Vegapunk here? At this moment, a questioning voice sounded outside the laboratory door, followed by the sound of the laboratory door opening. Vegapunk was slightly stunned, turned his head, and saw several ninjas walking over. Chapter 48 Research Samples. Dr. Vegapunk, we are here at the appointed time. The one who spoke was a beautiful female ninja named Meditarumi, who was looking at Vegapunk with a sharp gaze. Next to her were several members of the Hazuki clan, and the members of the Snow clan who were found. The last one was Ao, who had a white eye. The common point of these people was that they were all related to bloodline limits. The members of the Snow clan were the first ninja clan to be persecuted. The Snow clan that had ice escape was almost dead and wounded. The remaining members of the Snow clan had thin blood and could not awaken ice escape. Among the members of the Hazuki clan, one awakened the ability to transform into water, and the remaining few were also members who could not awaken bloodline limits. This was actually a very normal thing. Among most members of the Bloodline Ninja clan, at least half of them could not awaken bloodline limits. Even the Hyuga clan, which was famous in the ninja world, and was the easiest to awaken bloodline limits, still had members who could not awaken the white eyes. Vegapunk took a look at these people. Among them, there were those who had transplanted blood limit organs, those who had first generation chakra synthesis blood limit, and those who had awakened blood limit, and those who had not awakened blood limit. The samples were already sufficient. It was a pity that there was no corpse bone vein, which was the purest blood left by the aliens of the Otsutsuki clan. The matter of the Kaguya clan could be solved slowly in the future. Vegapunk really didn't believe that the entire Kaguya clan was unyielding. Anyway, he didn't have much requirements for the Kaguya clan. He just wanted a few blood limit awakeners to serve as test subjects. All the ninjas looked at Vegapunk. Some were fanatical, some were confused, and some were a little timid. Of course, there was also a look of infatuation among them, which was the look of Meditarumi. The others were looking at the head of the research department of the Sea Ninja village, but she was looking at the handsome guy. During this period of time, Vegapunk, who looked only 14 or 15 years old, had shut up all the doubters in the Sea village with his own abilities. At the beginning, many people looked down on Vegapunk because of his age. After all, scientific research is different from ninja training. Some monsters who have awakened powerful bloodline limits can indeed have the strength to dominate the ninja world at the age of 13 or 14, but science requires a lot of knowledge accumulation. How much knowledge can a 13 or 14-year-old boy learn? However, Vegapunk's new inventions appeared one after another. Chakra enhanced armor, small self-orbiting sky-eye satellite, new chakra attribute enhancement training chamber. Although these inventions have not reached the level of mass production, they have greatly improved the strength of the Sea Village. Needless to say, the chakra enhanced armor is just Vegapunk's strengthening of the original Snow Country chakra armor, which is not cost effective. The small co-orbital sky satellite can see the situation in most of the ninja world's waters, including the water country, but the resolution is not high. For wars between ninjas, it doesn't have much effect. After all, ninjas basically fight in small teams, and large-scale ninja actions are difficult to hide from opponents for ninjas with full intelligence capabilities, so they don't need the help of Sky-Eye. But that refers to countries on land. Even if the resolution of Sky-Eye satellite is low, it can at least distinguish ships. In other words, the monitoring ability of the sea surface is still very strong. This is very useful for the sea country. After all, even ninjas can't always step on water to cross the sea, and they must take a boat. As for the chakra attribute training chamber, it is a new generation of training equipment developed by Vegapunk through meticulous research on chakra attributes. It can quickly help ninjas cultivate more chakra attributes by injecting chakras of corresponding attributes by other ninjas in advance. You know, one of the standards of the so-called Jonin in this world is to develop a second chakra attribute after cultivating one's own attribute chakra to the extreme. In this way, the ninja at least has no obvious weaknesses and will not fall because of attribute restraint. This is the biggest invention of Vegapunk during this period. In fact, it is just a byproduct that Vegapunk made when he was studying the fusion of chakra attributes. However, even so, all the ninjas in the sea village worship him as a god. Okay, everyone should know why I asked you to come here today, right? Vegapunk spoke first without saying too much. Researching the blood limit. Don't worry, we will cooperate with Dr. Vegapunk. Meditarumi spoke first, and then other ninjas echoed. Vegapunk glanced at everyone. Meditarumi synthesized the blood limit through chakra fusion. In other words, she can be said to be the first generation of blood limit. Without the burden of the family, she naturally doesn't care about these problems. Not to mention King, he is just a tool man with the Byakugan installed. In essence, he is not a blood limit ninja. The Snow Clan doesn't even have one person who awakens the ice release. Vegapunk is willing to study their blood limit. These people are so happy. The only one who was somewhat dissatisfied was the Hazuki clan, which was why there was only one member of the Hazuki clan who had awakened the blood limit. Of course, the Hazuki clan itself did not have many blood limit awakeners, which was also a reason. Yes, once the blood limit is awakened, it can be said to be guaranteed to be a Jonin level. With other animal ability transformations and training cabins, it is entirely possible to mass produce elite Jonin level strongmen. Vegapunk said frankly. Seeing that the faces of those blood limit families were a little unnatural, he knew in his heart that they were worried about the spread of the blood limit. But it is indeed difficult to do this kind of thing. Vegapunk changed his tone. So the first goal I set is to increase the possibility of awakening blood limit ninjas. In fact, this kind of thing is not too difficult. Transplanting blood limit is no more difficult than transplanting animal genes. It's not directly transplanting the genes of Otsutsuki. Even transplanting the genes of the Otsutsuki is not a difficult task. The key is that, in order to activate the genes of the Otsutsuki, a huge amount of chakra is needed. Otherwise, even if there are Otsutsuki genes, the combat power may not be stronger than the degraded version of the Otsutsuki such as Uchiha and Senju. Of course, Vegapunk will definitely not say such things to these bloodline ninjas now. Isn't this equivalent to digging up the roots of the bloodline ninjas? Even if he has the ability to give others bloodline limits at will, Vegapunk will not easily help others transplant. The power of his subordinates is always just enough. Before the Otsutsuki from outer space arrives, Vegapunk does not think he needs to unlock all the technology to strengthen his subordinates. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49, The Situation of the Ninja World. After hearing what Vegapunk said, the ninjas of the family breathed a sigh of relief, and then their faces showed eager expressions. The awakening of the bloodline family has always been a major problem that troubled the family ninjas, especially the stronger the bloodline limit, the more difficult it is to awaken. The reason why the bloodline limit of the Byakugan, which is not very strong, can be famous in the entire ninja world and become the top bloodline family is that in addition to its powerful functionality and auxiliary nature, its ridiculously high awakening ability is also a big plus. Why is it that among all the bloodline families, only the Hyuga clan has developed a system of caged birds, main families and branch families? In addition to the ease of Byakugan transplantation, another reason is that there are too few bloodline ninjas in other families. For example, there may be only one ninja in the Hazuki clan who awakens a bloodline limit in 10 people, and the Ice Escape bloodline limit of the Snow clan is similar. The corpse bone vein of the Kaguya clan is even worse, and there may be only one awakened in 30 or 50 people. With so few people, what kind of branch family or main family can you have? In other words, the ninjas who have awakened their bloodline limits are naturally superior to the ninjas of the general family, and there is no need to use the caged bird to distinguish their status. For the ninjas who have not awakened their bloodline limits, their status in the family is similar to that of the Hyuga family branch. However, because this is a result obtained entirely according to their abilities, and their lives and deaths are not controlled by others, these people do not have any resentment. But it would be strange to say that they do not want to awaken their bloodline limits to become more powerful and have a higher status. Sir, are you serious? Can your research help us awaken our bloodline limits? A ninja from the Hazuki clan asked eagerly. Let's study it first. I dare not guarantee it, but at least I have a 70% to 80% chance of success. Seeing that this group of people had already jumped into the pot, Vegapunk couldn't help but smile. While Vegapunk was still conducting research on the bloodline limits, the butterfly effect he caused was also fermenting throughout the ninja world. Konoha, which had just experienced the Ninetales rebellion, was in ruins. The former third Hokage was back in action, but faced with the current mess, he felt a bit overwhelmed. The third Hokage in his youth might have been worthy of the title of ninja hero, but now the third Hokage who has returned to power has lost his wisdom and decisiveness. His first reaction when he encounters something now is to compromise like a compromise. Is that so? Kakashi, thank you for your hard work. The third Hokage put down the cigarette in his hand and said to Kakashi kindly, I hope this information can help the village. Kakashi lowered his head and said seriously, then I will leave first. The third Hokage nodded, and when he saw Kakashi had already walked out of the door, his face showed a bit of solemnity. This information is really amazing. Vegapunk, an amazing genius, he really did something shocking. The information Kakashi reported was naturally about Vegapunk and his friends. In fact, when he first returned to Konoha Ninja Village, Kakashi had already written down his experience and reported it. At that time, although Konoha Ninja Village also attached importance to this material, it was only limited to understanding it. Although Kakashi was carrying out an S-level mission, the information was theoretically very important, but the Snow Country was too far away from Konoha Ninja Village. Although Vegapunk in the material had some talent, no one thought that he would have any intersection with Konoha again. Even Kakashi himself, although he had a deep impression of Vegapunk, felt that even if he had to deal with him again, it would probably take many years. Who would have thought that in such a short time, Vegapunk had done such a big thing, and the entire overseas ninja world was unified. Although the current Mizukage of the sea village is still the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon, most of the well-informed ninja villages know that Vegapunk is the real key figure in the establishment of the new sea village. Kakashi has other ideas in his mind. He thinks that it is very likely that the one who really controls the sea village is actually this Vegapunk, not the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon, but there is no basis for this kind of thing, so he didn't say anything. After all, as early as in the Snow Country, Kakashi could see that Vegapunk was far from being a 13 or 14-year-old child, and he had no respect for the daimyo and nobles. He was a real lawless person. Things like controlling Feng Huaxiaoxu to take the position, and using the little girl as a puppet. Vegapunk did it without any concealment. I didn't expect that he is actually the heir of a daimyo. Maybe that's why he has no respect at all. After leaving the Hokage's office, Kakashi thought about Vegapunk, but soon put the matter behind him. Although they suffered a lot in the Snow Country, at least the final result was good, and Kakashi's strength increased a lot. Moreover, what Konoha Ninja Village should really consider now is not the Sea Ninja Village far away on the sea, but the Cloud Ninja Village that has not yet ceased fighting. Although the Third Ninja World War has ended, local regional conflicts have not been completely ended. Although the original Cloud Ninja Village and Konoha Ninja Village did not sign a peace agreement, under the deterrence of the golden flash of the fourth Hokage, the two sides have basically ceased fighting. Unfortunately, the Ninetales rebellion and the sacrifice of the fourth Hokage severely damaged the vitality of Konoha Ninja Village. Taking this opportunity, the Cloud Ninja Village, which had already stopped fighting, started a small-scale ninja war with Konoha. Not only did Kakashi quickly forget about this information, but the third Hokage, who saw the threat, could only helplessly suppress this information. Firstly, the newly established Sea Ninja Village is far away on the sea, and even if Konoha Ninja Village wants to do something, it is out of reach. Secondly, before this, Konoha Ninja Village is now seriously injured, and has to face the challenge of Cloud Ninja first, so it has no time to take care of the current Sea Ninja. Konoha has no time to take care of the Sea Ninja. Although the Rock Ninja Village and the original Mist Ninja and the current Sea Ninja are enemies, there is actually no conflict of interest between the two sides. After all, they don't even border each other. So this feud is mostly just talk, not to mention that the Rock Ninja Village and all the big ninja villages are enemies. Anoki has backstabbed the Cloud Ninja, killed the third generation of Breakage, and invaded the Wind Country. So far, there are still some border conflicts between the two sides, not to mention Konoha. Therefore, regarding the establishment of the Sea Ninja Village, Anoki just nags a few times, saying something sarcastic like the Mist Ninja Village is really getting worse and worse, and now even the name of the ninja village has been changed, and then he instructs the intelligence team to be more cautious and get more information, and then there is no follow-up. As for the Cloud Ninja Village, this village with a strong martial spirit is now fighting Konoha to the death. They don't have much dealings with the Mist Ninja Village on a daily basis. There are some minor frictions, but no real wars. As for the establishment of the Sea Ninja Village, they just ordered their subordinates to gather more information. Chapter 50, The Sand Ninja at a Disadvantage. The only one on the continent that really cares about the establishment of the Sea Village, and is now cursing, is the Sand Village. There is no other reason, because the Sand Village is now waging a ninja war with the Mist Village. To be honest, the battle between the Mist Village and the Sand Village was obviously started by the Mist Village. After all, due to its geographical advantages, the Mist Village has never been declared war on by anyone, and it is basically the one that is going to attack others. At the beginning, the Mist Village actually implemented a continental balance policy, that is, among all the ninja villages, the one that is strong will be attacked, and it is imperative that there will not be a single dominant ninja village on the continent. However, the policy implementation changed later, and with the disruption caused by Obito, the role played by the Mist Village during the Ninja World War was almost like a group of bandits who just robbed and ran away. The Cloud Village has abundant martial virtues and a secret base Turtle Island. Especially located on a plateau, it has the advantage of attacking from a high position, and the Mist Ninjas can't do it at all. The Land of Fire was prosperous enough, and the gains from the robbery were not small at the beginning, but Konoha was ruthless in the end, and the 7 ninja swordsmen were kicked into the 3 lucky treasures. After that, the Mist Village didn't dare to provoke Konoha. Although the Land of Wind was full of deserts and poverty, as a big country, it was always a bit of a weight, especially its prosperous areas were concentrated on the seaside, so it naturally became a frequent target of robbery and invasion by the Mist Ninja. The two sides came and went, and even though the Third Ninja World War had already ceased, local frictions had never been less. At the beginning, it was still a dispute over interests. Later, after Obito controlled the Mist Village, the battles here became routine. It can be said that the battles here became a common bleeding wound for the two ninja villages, preventing both sides from recuperating properly. However, Obito, who controlled the Mist Village at the beginning, didn't care about the losses of the Mist Village at all. The only one who really felt overwhelmed by this was the 4th Kazakage. After the establishment of the Sea Ninja Village, the high-ranking officials of the Sea Ninja Village were inclined to reconcile with this battle that had no benefits. However, at this time, the Sand Ninja Village showed its cowardice and expressed its willingness to hand over its combat hero Yi Kang in exchange for peace. This made the high-ranking officials of the Sea Ninja Village want to take advantage of it. Because this place has become the only small battlefield in the Sea Ninja Village, it has finally become a test site for Vegapunk technology. Although some of the things used for the experiment are not very stable, with the support of Vegapunk's technology, the entire Sand Ninja Village was still beaten to a pulp. It can be said that the Sand Ninja Village is the only opponent who has felt the speed of the strength improvement of the Mist Ninja Village after it became the Sea Ninja Village. However, the price paid was that many coastal cities were looted, the daimyo of the Wind Country scolded the 4th Kazakage, and the two ninja villages had an ugly record of 1-5 in terms of losses. It is no wonder that the Sand Ninja Village keeps jumping and cursing. The speed at which the old opponent becomes stronger is really a bit inhuman. Especially during this period of time, in addition to the substantial growth in the strength of the grassroots ninjas, various strange weapons and abilities have appeared, and even the number of bloodline limit ninjas has begun to surge. On the battlefield full of fighting, Yi Kang gently wiped the sweat from his forehead and looked at his opponent with a heavy face. I didn't expect that the Kaguya clan would step onto the battlefield again. I heard that you guys are not very dissatisfied with the Mist Village. How come you vent your dissatisfaction by sending the clan leader to the battlefield to work for the Mizukage? Opposite her, there was a man holding a white bone long sword and a somewhat crazy smile on his face. After listening to Yi Kang's words, the man tilted his head. Why not? Anyway, as long as there is a battle, isn't it good? Not to mention it's a battle between you sand rats. Ha 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 ha. Tsubaki dance. Facing the attack of the corpse bone vein, even Yi Kang was a little hesitant. In fact, although the opponent is the head of the corpse bone vein clan, Yi Kang is also confident that he can win the final victory. However, the Kaguya clan has more than just this clan leader. At least more than 30 members of the Kaguya clan who have awakened the corpse vein are galloping across the battlefield. As an attack and defense, and with a powerful recovery ability, the corpse vein Kekui Genkai, it can be said that once it is awakened, it is a top-level bloodstain comparable to the Sharingan's 3 Megatama, and even more effective on the front battlefield. Corresponding to its powerful power is its extremely difficult awakening rate. More than 30 corpse veins. Yi Kang really couldn't figure out where the Kaguya clan pulled so many people from. You know, according to the corpse vein awakening rate, more than 30 corpse veins represent the entire Kaguya clan, at least 1000 ordinary ninjas. But in fact, it's not bad for the entire Kaguya clan to have 200 ninjas. No, Yi Kang actually has some ideas in his mind. If that idea is true, then the reason why the Kaguya clan participated in the war and the increase in the number of bloodline ninjas on the battlefield during this period of time are all explained. It was just that for some reason, she didn't dare to believe her own thoughts. Just when that thought flashed through her mind, Yi Kang could feel a deep despair. Stupid woman, how dare you be distracted when fighting with me? With a roar, the head of the Kaguya clan raised his hand and released several bone bullets. Yi Kang narrowly avoided the opponent's finger bones and then waved his hand, and a scorching fireball directly hit the Kaguya clan leader. For ordinary ninjas, the scorching fireball that kills on contact only turned the shield into charcoal when facing the powerful skeleton shield of the Kaguya clan, but did not turn the Kaguya clan leader into a mummy. However, a lot of wrinkles appeared on the opponent's arm. Obviously, some of the moisture inside was evaporated. Even with the recovery ability of the Kaguya clan, this kind of injury is not so easy to recover. Awesome. Is this scorch release? The Kaguya clan leader's eyes flickered. If I fight you alone, I really can't be your opponent. What a pity. Now there is a war between us. While Yi Kang was fighting with the Kaguya clan leader, a large number of Shikotsu ninjas had completely torn apart the Sand Ninja's defenses. You know, every Shikotsu ninja has at least the power of a Jonin. If the basic quality is slightly better, then he is an elite Jonin. A team of more than 30 Jonins and elite Jonins, except for the Iwagakure, which has lowered the level of the lower limit of the Jonin of the big ninja villages. In any ninja village, this kind of team can only be seen at the peak of the Ninja World War, the battle that determines fate. That is more than 1/3 of the high-level forces of a ninja village. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.